The responsibility and gullibility, we must tell you, the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, a Labor Day Tuesday edition. Dominic, back to work, back to school, back to the political party.
Welcome to the political party. Good to see you, Crudy. Fancy Brian on the board, our fair audience. I hope everyone had a great weekend. And I got to be honest, man, I'm trying to wind up to get into this week. It was a great, fun time. And here we go again.
A Tuesday that feels a hell of a lot like a Monday, Dom.
Something like that.
Come on, man. Sure. You've had ample time to rest and relax. It's time to get to
rest
it, man.
And relax. We got some storms blowing through. You know, it's been kind of touch and go here in Milwaukee. Some huge storms blowing through, but I think all the tech's working out, and we're gonna have a great show today.
Well, Dominic, the unemployment has run out. My understanding, about 7.5 million lose their unemployment insurance, their extended federal unemployment, the bonus $300 per week that made the American people soft and lazy.
Yes, absolutely. And I fully expect now the September jobs report, when it comes out, according to the Republicans, we should see 2 to 3 million people getting off their lazy asses and getting those jobs.
Well,
right
now that they don't get the free Biden bucks, they'll have to go back to work, Tom. You know, I was listening to another radio station and heard the Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce, the lobbying group, you know, the very conservative lobbying group. And, you know, I even heard them acknowledge today Wisconsin needs workers. I think a lot of places need workers.
Yeah, see lots of advertising going on, not only certainly here on the social medias, all over. People are looking for workers.
Yeah, but Republicans kept telling us it's the laziness of the workers. You know, they're overstimulated with $300 a week. That's what we are to believe, and that kept them from going back out and doing crappy menial labor jobs.
And think about that just for a minute, though, right? I mean, if your position is that the $300 a week is the only thing that's keeping people from going out and being employed, I mean, that's pretty low. That's pretty low wage for a weekly earning.
Well, don't tell that to, you know, Mitch McConnell or even state Republicans, Robin Voss and the others. They wanted to take away these benefits 6 weeks ago, because that would have changed the entire trajectory of the economy.
Such crap, man.
It seems to be crap, if that's how you want to characterize it. It does seem to be crap when, you know, you look at the empirical evidence that other Republican states that have already forced this upon their people have seen no significant increase in the number of people joining the workforce.
And we won't have to worry about empirical data. I mean, the benefit is now over. So if the Republicans, I wouldn't even call it a theory, but if their position holds out to be true, this month should be probably some of the biggest employment numbers this nation has ever seen. Of course, we won't get that. And the Republicans will just meander on to the next outrageous topic to keep their base flamed up. While at the same time, many of their base are the ones that are going to be not getting that money anymore.
Well, I was thinking if you had another bad jobs report, well, that's the Biden economy. You blamed on Joe. Because they're already doing that, right? We had a relatively bad jobs report, apparently. And, you know, the Biden administration said, you know, maybe the Delta variant might have slowed down the recovery. Maybe people aren't so anxious to get back out there and take a job. I did note something like the highest resignation rate in history. Not that I'm trying to give you any ideas, but you know what I mean? Right now, this time in history, people are perhaps reconsidering.
Yes. Reprioritizing, resetting. I mean, when you look at, and we're all facing this in this pandemic, is this life-changing event potentially? Do you want to spend the rest of your days doing a crappy job for menial pay? And I think a lot of people are saying, hell no. There's living a quality life is worth more than working for pennies.
Dominic Michael Tomasky, you published this one up on our Facebook page. I have ready access to it. I'll read the headline. No, low-wage workers aren't lazy. They're on strike. Talking heads who blame government handouts for the labor shortage are missing the point. People are sick of crap jobs and crap wages. I think you made a similar point, Dom. I'm going to read Tomasky's words, at least in part. I write these words on Labor Day, a holiday that President Grover Cleveland decided should come around in September rather than May because he worried about the socialist connotations of May Day and the fact that May 1st was too close for comfort to the anniversary of the Haymaker Affair, which happened on May 4th, 1886. We've long since ceased celebrating labor in this country. In fact, what we mostly do now is talk smack about workers of all kinds. This has taken on a special ferocity in right-wing circles since the onset of the pandemic and the government's response. The checks on government has been sending people, according to the right, prove that America's working poor are a burden, a bunch of indolent do-nothings who'd rather sit at home and collect a government check than be out there in the world sprinkling salt crystals on pretzels or wiping down the leatherette interiors at the local car wash. I take the opposite view. Again, this is Michael Tomasky writing here. The fact that people would rather cash a government check than perform menial, underpaid work is an encouraging sign. It's a form of protest against the way our economy has evolved over the last 40 years. And it's a welcome development that we can only hope forces a change in the way our corporate and political classes think about labor. I've been conjugating. Well, if you've got it, you read it, man.
I've been conjugating along these lines for
Tuesday.
months. But now an officially smart and credentialed person has come along and said it. If you missed the op-ed in the Times over the weekend by renowned MIT economist David Autor, you need to give it a read. He corrects a few key misconceptions, untruths that are spouted as gospel on cable news, and he offers a radical new thesis on why the current labor shortage is in fact a good thing. First of all, he writes, conventional wisdom aside, actual empirical research shows that while the government checks have had an effect on the labor supply, the effect has been small. A quote, states that terminated federal pandemic unemployment benefits ahead of schedule this summer saw only a minuscule decline in unemployment relative to those that didn't, he writes. Tomasky goes on now, but then he goes on to make the real point. Most speculation about labor shortage revolves around 2 points. First, the government checks. Second, the lack of childcare, which has perhaps made mothers in particular decide to remain at home rather than go back to work. Autor then raises a third possibility. It may be, he writes, that people's valuation of their own time has changed. Americans are less eager to do low-paid, often dead-end service and hospitality work, deciding instead to spend more time on family. Education and leisure makes for a higher standard of living, even if it means less consumption. There's the key, consumption. Precisely. People are sick of crap jobs paying crap wages. Of course, hard, unattractive labor has always existed and will always exist. Somebody needed to sweep the stables back in ancient Rome, and while some hard jobs can be automated, someone will need to clean offices as long as offices exist. That can't change. But the thing that can change is that these jobs can pay better. As Autor wrote, people who perform menial jobs in the United States makes less, sometimes a lot less, than their counterparts in Europe and Canada. In Canada, he writes, low education workers make 1/3 more than in the U.S. So the current labor shortage is not a problem. It's a blessing. If workers deny employers their labor, employers have to do something to make labor more appealing. That something is most likely to be higher wages, exactly what working class America needs. My biggest disappointment of the Biden era to this point is by far the failure to raise minimum wage. That isn't necessarily Joe Biden's fault. If you insist on blaming Joe, try Manchin rather than Biden. The West Virginia senator said earlier this year he could see going up to maybe $11 an hour, but not the 15 Biden wants. But it's really more on the Republicans, who are almost unanimously opposed. The minimum wage increase can't be done through the reconciliation process, which means a raise would need 60 votes in the Senate to clear cloture, and that's impossible with the party of the oligarchy, most of whose elected members would prefer doing away with the federal minimum wage entirely. It's currently $7.25 and hasn't been raised since 2009. Fortunately, some cities and states, and some businesses too, have moved toward the $15 an hour goal that Biden is working to impose on businesses that win federal contracts. Bank of America says it plans to hike its minimum wage to $25 an hour by 2025. Target is aiming for 15. Progress is happening here and there, a little bit more each day. The current labor shortage is, in essence, a strike. It's low wage workers rising up and saying, we're sick of doing mindless, repetitive work for horrible wages. We'd rather spend the time with our kids. We'd rather spend it not earning money. Their behavior flips all the neoclassical assumptions of economics about people being self-interested actors who make rational decisions on their head, except that these are rational decisions. Get a machine to flip your burgers, boss. You're not paying me enough to make standing over your grease pit all day worth my valuable time. So the next time you see someone, in all likelihood, a rich, older, white man, inveighing against the lazy masses on cable news, just remember, they aren't lazy. They're in revolt. More power to them. Michael Tomasky writing at the newrepublic.com. Very appropriate for Labor Day.
Labor Day Tuesday. Do you think people are going back to work, Tom, or do you think they're effectively sitting this stance out?
I don't think we will see an increase that the Republicans, if they were right in employment, we're not going to see that. We won't see it. I think a lot of people reset, man. I mean, we're looking death in the face and seeing how this country is reacting, how the employers, right, the job creators, right, are just given as little as possible to keep their fat profit bottom line at the whatever percentage that they find equitable to them. I had this conversation. Obviously, lots of people getting together for the holidays. I had this conversation recently. Yeah, you got to do something. Raise the wages. We're the devil's advocates. We'll be right back.
Probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for the American worker.
Holy mackerel, folks. Let's get to work.
We have top men working on it right now.
I like to work, so that's not a problem. But this is actually more work.
Not going to work here anymore.
Here's today's STEM tip. Don't throw out that old plastic bottle. Repurpose it by turning it into an awesome terrarium. Just fill it with sand, pebbles, soil, and your favorite plant. It'll grow sealed right in its own ecosystem. Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids, thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertisement. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
Right now, we all feel a little disconnected. For seniors living alone, the isolation can be overwhelming. Connect with an older loved one and have the conversation of a lifetime at StoryCorpsConnect.org/AARP. A message from AARP, StoryCorps, and the Ad Council.
I'm not a big fan of righty-whitey talk radio, but if I'm going to tune in even for an hour a day, I really wish they'd have a live host. They've still got a Rush Limbaugh show, and the guy's been dead for a couple months.
Playing like best of Dead Rush.
Do you know how weird that is? I make you this promise, Dom, after I'm dead, you don't have to keep playing my sound bites. Although I'm hoping you go first.
The Devil's Advocates, weekdays from 2 to 5.
The Devil's Advocates, radio for the 99%.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Don't remember this one on the list. Give us a call. Let us know what you think. 844-967-2789.
Dominic, sometimes I audible, and that's just the way it is and the way it always will be.
Uh-huh.
You remember that one, right?
Yeah, I know the song. It's just a little sleepy. So what's the point?
There's a lot of big hair in this video.
You can't find a job.
Okay. You can find a job. There's lots of jobs available right now. They're just, they're not all paying as well as they probably should. And it's real simple. I just don't understand how, and again, having these conversations with some older white men of mine, right? And talking about the cost of labor and getting people this back to work. It's very simple. Just raise it, right? I mean, if you're selling widgets and the cost of some of your products go up as your work in process, well, you just accept it, right? Now I got to pay more for this. I got to pay more for that. Okay, but I'm gonna do it anyway. But when it comes to wages, for some reason, when it comes to the labor, well, that's it's a bridge too far. We can't do that. What? You can't do what? You can't give people a living wage. $7.25 is a freaking embarrassment.
Yes. 2009. Yeah. Okay, we'll take your phone calls in just a moment. 844-967-2789. Dom, I had a job that paid me $3.25 an hour, and I don't care what year it is. That's not a great wage.
Yeah, come on. My dad used to tell me he used to pack groceries when he was a kid for 50 cents an hour and walked uphill both ways in the snow to get to work barefoot, right?
Well, that's the story you told you, but this one's true.
Yeah.
1984, I believe, $3.25 an hour was the wage. And I'd worked all summer like at an indoor job. I'd gotten kind of soft, kind of lazy. And then they tried to reassign me to a city job. And I think I've told you this, working in a greenhouse at the sewage plant. Yeah, where they cook up the sewage to dry it off so they can scoop it off. They had me shoveling the scoopage, let's just say.
So kind of like what you do these days.
Similar. I clean up your messes quite often. But for $3.25 an hour, man, I'm sitting there getting bit by flies, like horse flies, just eating my ass. It's like 110 degrees. I'm just dripping sweat, flies, sweat, bites, smell. And, I made it to like lunch and I quit. I didn't come back from lunch. Let's just put it that way.
You went to lunch and never came back.
Well, I'd work for the city workers for, a few days that week, like filling potholes. I'd do that stuff. It was hot. It was dirty, but that's man's work. I'd do it. But, bridge too far, shoveling crap in a greenhouse at 110 degrees. Flies bite my legs. That's a bridge too far for this.
Okay, but would you do it for $50 an hour?
Not for all, not for all the money in the world, man.
Well,
and it sounds like that to some people.
Perhaps that's the point. At some point in some of these positions, no one wants to do it, and so you got to be creative as an employer, and certainly wages are a big part of that. So are benefits as well. But think about some of the costs that have gone up recently. We talk about like shipping costs, right? And certain products are hard to get. But that's a quote unquote cost of doing business. But if all of a sudden employees are like, you know what, I get paid more if I'm going to show up. I'm going to risk my life as a frontline worker. Remember when we used to like love all the frontline workers back when COVID was hitting like so long, a year ago? And now we're like, oh, get your ass back. We had like 100,000 people in the hospital.
Get my carry out. I'm hungry.
Right. No more clapping for the teachers. It's all screaming at the school board. So it goes away so fast. And if you're going to tell me that I'm going to risk my life and limb, literally life, if you get the COVID, and limb, if you get some of these crazy Trump terrorists showing up with zip ties at your workplace because they don't like your COVID policy, you got to pay more, man, to put up with the crap.
You're not getting a raise. 844-967-2789. Pizza the Box. Welcome back. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, Mike.
We don't need no stinking widgets. So if you have a widget making business that can't pay people a living wage because you're not working, Mr. Boss Man, you're just enjoying and reaping the rewards, right? It shouldn't be a job, man. If you can't pay a living wage, it shouldn't be a job in this country. And by the way, if you have a job, you should also have a union.
Well, I certainly think the unions, Michael, I got to tell you, I was a little disappointed by the lack of labor festivals to go out and attend over the weekend. And I know IBW in Milwaukee 494 did something in the parking lot, and Tony came, happy to see some union did something. But I'm a little nervous about the unions and even their partnership with the Democratic Party. Scott Walker had great impact on the unions, and I'm waiting for them to get back up off their asses and shake themselves off and start fighting like hell again.
Well, hey, I'm not one of these guys that's soft on lousy Democrats. You know that. I can't wait to fill in.
Oh, yeah. Our boy, Matt Flynn, in the morning said, he being a lawyer by trade, and obviously he's moved on to the greener pastures of radio broadcasting. But Matt Flynn's going to be gone a little bit, 16th, 17th, and then 4 days the week after. And I said, well, Matt, here are a couple of good lawyers I know that could fill in for you. And Matt Flynn said, no, there's only one guy that can take over my morning show, and it's Pizza Box Mike. And he asked, and you said yes, fella. Why would you do that?
Why not? Matt is one of those Democrats that I get along with because he shows a lot of respect to everybody that participates. And you can't beat that for starters, can you?
No. And you're both a little cranky, so you got that in common too.
Which is nice.
Pizza Box Mike will be the fill-in Matt Flynn next week on Thursday and Friday, and then 4 days the week following. Pizza Box Mike, he'll be a worldwide star before the whole Matt Flynn affair is over, but you got to get up early, 6 to 8 a.m. If you've been listening to Matt Flynn, you're going to want to hear Pizza Box Mike filling in. Come back, more Devils, nothing but 100% Devils advocates on the other side.
Pay me my money. Where's the money, man? Where's my money?
From Baraboo to Horicon, WTTN 1580 AM is News Talk Radio built for the 99%. Rural Wisconsin's home for Devil Radio.
Chad's Design Build is proud to sponsor the Summer of Love on Devil Radio. We are committed to our community to demand better for each and every person. Doing the right thing isn't necessarily easy or inexpensive, but when we take the time to listen and learn, we can build a better community. Thoughtful remodeling is a lot like building an effective, progressive coalition. It takes patience, intelligence, and love. Experience helps too. Thank you, Joe Biden, and thank you, Devil Radio. On behalf of Chad's Design Build, here's to the Summer of Love.
Hey, how's it going? Come down to 550 State Street. At Knuckleheads, we're your one-stop shop for all your CBD, glass, hookah, cigar needs. We got deals like buy four, get one free on papers, cones, CBD carts. Too many things to list. Call 608-284-0151. Ask a friendly neighborhood Knucklehead any questions. Or check out the website, knuckleheadcbd.com. Knuckleheads at 550 State Street. We got you covered. I'm Lando Commando, and I'll see you there.
I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. President Biden met with people in New Jersey whose homes were damaged by the remnants of Hurricane Ida.
It's incredible.
Yeah, we're so thankful that we got our
What I'm surprised by is that in what otherwise you would not assume could generate a water height that went up in some cases almost to the windows of these homes, over literally over your head, according to the folks here.
The storm in the Northeast is blamed for at least 50 deaths. The president says it's climate change, and not just in New Jersey.
Every part of the country is getting hit by extreme weather. And we're now living in real time what the country's going to look like. And if we don't do something, we can't turn it back very much, but we can prevent it from getting worse.
Meantime, in New Orleans, about 400,000 homes are still without power from Hurricane Ida. I'm Ed Donahue.
Start fall with everything to do business better during Dell Technologies Labor Day event. Save up to 45% on select business PCs with Windows 10 Pro. Power your workday with savings on Dell servers, monitors, docks, and other accessories, plus free shipping on everything. Do more with modern devices and Windows 10 Pro. Call 877-ASK-DELL for a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the right tech. That's 877-ASK-DELL for business specials during Dell's Labor Day event.
My stomach.
Don't worry, I've got you covered.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
What's that?
It's Pepto-Bismol Chews.
Pepto-Bismol's in a chew?
Yeah, they taste great and provide fast relief. And you can always have Pepto-Bismol handy.
Ooh, let me try it.
Try Pepto-Bismol Chews for fast relief.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. Over the weekend, the federally expanded unemployment benefits passed last year to assist individuals that lost their jobs due to the COVID-19 pandemic expired. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, the loss of benefits could affect up to 33,000 Wisconsinites. As of July, the unemployment rate was 3.9% in Wisconsin, but employers are continuing to struggle attracting workers to fill thousands of open jobs across the state. On Friday, Wisconsin Superintendent of Public Instruction Jill Underly said in an interview with WKOW that she supports school districts mandating COVID-19 vaccines for teachers and staff, noting schools should do everything possible to keep schools open this fall. Forecasts of scattered thunderstorms with the possibility for gusting winds and small hail today and a high of 79 degrees. Clear skies in the forecast tonight with an overnight low of 57 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio.
The Devil's Advocates. We drink when we toast when we drink.
It's a hard world to get a break in. All the good things have been taken.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Dominic, we welcome back a fine guest. He is Kirk Bangstad. He is the proprietor, owner of the Minocqua Brewing Company, and he comes bearing beer.
Excellent. The best guests bring beer.
The best guests do bring beer. Kirk, welcome back, man.
Hey, Kirk.
Hey, guys. Good to see you. Now,
a new edition. Brand new beer.
Brand new. And I cracked one open, but I'm not going to lie. I kind of had a few too many over the Labor Day weekend. So this first sip was kind of hard, but actually after the first sip, it felt a lot better.
Hair of the donkey, if you will.
Hair of the donkey. Yeah. So
what do we got here, Kirk? What are you drinking, man?
We went pretty deep here on this one. It's hard to explain the filibuster on a can of beer, but it's called Filibuster Ale, and the tagline is "It must be quaffed before 2022."
Nice.
There's a lot going on here, but basically, I thought about in the summer. I put a lot of politicians on, on these cans, like Bernie and Biden, but I've only done one issue beer before, and that was Fair Maps. And we made a lot of headlines, and I think we got a lot of awareness that we need to make, have Fair Maps in Wisconsin. But I was like, I want to do another issue beer, but what's the most pressing issue in both Wisconsin and America? And I kept on coming back to, we got to get rid of filibuster, or else we can't pass anything that's going to help America help us save democracy.
And Kirk, what are these little nuts representative of?
Okay, so let me tell you, I had to rack my brain on this one because the filibuster is hard to freaking explain. So we basically and actually have a beer be represented by it. So the fun thing is that a filbert is actually another word for a hazelnut. So I started thinking about hazelnut. I was like, okay, we can do a hazelnut brown ale and call it a hazelnut / filbert brown ale. And so what we've done is I had my graphic designer put a bunch of like hazelnuts. Some are in blue ties and some are in red ties. Obviously, the blue guys are the Democrats, the reds are the Republicans. There's a flag that says 51. It's a blue flag, and there's a red flag that says 49. And that's what should be happening in our U.S. Senate is if there's a vote that has 51 senators voting for it, it should pass a bill. But unfortunately, and this is hard to explain on a damn cartoon, but there's all the Republicans need are 41 votes to block anything that the Democrats want to do, which means they can block voting rights. They can block, which they can definitely do right now. They can block reproductive justice, reproductive rights. And so it's killing us. And so there's a donkey, a big blue donkey in the middle of this cartoon that's eating the Republican playbook that says 41 votes to block. And Dom, I don't know. I don't know. You don't have a can in front of you, Dom, but can you tell me, if you look real close, who this red hazelnut is with the red tie that's really not happy that his playbook's being eaten?
Is that Trump? Is that the former guy?
No, look closer.
More turtle-like, think.
Oh, McConnell with the glasses. I see it.
So on the Republican side, we got Mitch McConnell being really worried that this Democratic donkey is eating his playbook. I'm telling you, I went deep on this one. It might be a little bit esoteric for the average beer drinker, but I'm pretty proud of it.
I didn't say that very artfully.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Got a fine guest. He is a sponsor. He is the owner of the Minocqua Brewing Company, and he's associated with the Minocqua Brewing Company Super-PAC. And Kirk, my understanding is when people buy the beer, 5% of the profits are given to the Minocqua Brewing Company Super-PAC. Well, I feel like, you've kind of been off from the good trouble this summer. So I got to think you've been scheming. You seem like a schemer to me, Kirk.
We have been scheming. I had to take a break. I mean, fighting the power you guys do it every day. I don't know how you do it, but I was like,
we're professionals, Kirk. You make it look easy.
I would say graceful and sexy. That's a winning combo.
Making good trouble, leads to a lot of backlash. And so I needed to kind of unplug for a while this summer, but we were able to, right before I took off for vacation, raise over $40,000 to hire a organizer to help progressives run for county board seats up in northern Wisconsin, which really helps build the bench, for when we can actually compete, when the numbers are still bad up there, conservative versus Democrat, but we want to build a bench of good politicians, and that happens at the county board level. So we were able to hit our mark there, and a lot of people donated money for that, and we donated some of our profits as well. So we're proud of that.
And you've been able to fill that position?
I think Wisconsin Progress is the group I work with, and I think they put the job application out in August, and I think they're getting close to making a hire, I think.
That'd be excellent. We hear that it's a difficult work environment. Kirk, what do you think about the American worker right now? Do you think they've been lazy? Do you think they've been enticed to stay on the couch with $300 massive incentives from government?
That's a lot of money to buy some beer, Kirk.
Yeah. So you're talking about them getting kicked off.
Yes.
I just joined you guys, so I didn't know what you're talking about earlier, but yeah, geez, like I just saw this cartoon where this big boat is like about to sink, and there's this little mouse like at the tip of the boat that represents the worker getting a little pittance extra for unemployment benefits, and this huge friggin' elephant in the back of the boat that's sinking the boat that's called tax cuts for the rich. And I'm like, that's exactly right. It's like we definitely have enough money in America to keep these unemployment benefits going, while the pandemic is still raging. But we got to raise taxes on the rich to pay for it. That's what we should be doing.
Kirk, what about supply chains? We know everyone is affected. I know that you've been affected. What can you tell people that aren't in the beer brewing industry. What about supply chains?
Yeah, that's crazy. You mentioned that. It's really killing the craft brewer right now. So a crate, those crates that you get, that are on the ships, like that's how you get from country to country. Is these huge like shipping crates, and
because of the TikTok
containers
challenge, that's wrecking the beer industry.
What's happened? Not that crate, not those crates. The containers. I've heard that they've gone from like $1,400 to get one place to the next, like 14,000. I mean, it's like a 10x kind of situation. And so getting aluminum cans, getting plastic lids, like all those things have risen because the cost of shipping has gone up. Now, it's not because all of a sudden America's giving away money to help bail people out. It's because the entire world slowed down production during the pandemic, and they started ramping it up again. And so demand for everything is going sky high. So that's causing hopefully short-term inflation, not structural inflation, that unfortunately the Republicans are saying Biden's causing inflation because he's given trillions away for infrastructure and, the unemployed. And that's not the case in my mind. I think it's just short-term inflation because the economy's finally waking up again.
Kirk, would you call beer, specifically your beer, Minocqua Brewing Company beer, is that the beverage of the working stiff?
The beverage is not of the working stiff. The beverage is they should drink, especially Bernie Brew. That's a lager and it's the least expensive because it will help them out eventually when we when hopefully some of the policies we're trying to support get passed.
Folks are listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Kirk Bangstad, Minocqua Brewery, Minocqua Super-PAC, Brewery Super-PAC, and a friend of ours. And I was flipping through my photos, Kirk, from we went to one of those events that you had, a party, and I wanted to know what beer we were drinking. It was the Bernie Brew.
Oh yeah,
that we took some pictures of, and it was a great lager. And I do appreciate that.
That's the working class brew. Unfortunately, this Filibuster Ale has a real hazelnut hazelnut extracts in it. It's freaking expensive to make. So unfortunately, this one probably isn't for the working class.
This is a darker beer for your aristocratic friends. Right? No, is this
it's going to cost you a little bit at the store, unfortunately.
I'm not a beer connoisseur. I'm more of a boozy guy, but this beer tastes thicker.
Oh, yeah.
And I wouldn't call it bitter, but it's got more of a
that's a hazelnut. It's like it's the juice of the hazelnut, and it's astringent.
Do you squeeze the hazelnut? give me all your juices. How do you get that juice?
It makes me nutty just thinking about it, bro.
Well, I can't even get Nutella in the stores these days, man. So I'm not clear how you're getting, the hazelnut.
Oh, he's got a guy.
I got a guy.
A hazelnut guy. No, where is that?
Tenutas in Kenosha. They can strong arm anybody to get stuff. I've heard.
You're gonna love my nut.
Kirk, you mentioned, I want to talk briefly here on the political side of it. Some of the local, county board and those kinds of things. But I've seen a lot of reporting in the last couple of weeks about how conservatives and certainly some national conservative groups are really pushing and assisting some of the parents going after school boards. Parents don't like what the school board COVID policy might be, and all of a sudden, or they think they're teaching critical race theory, which isn't happening, but they don't like some of the topics, and now they're like super Trumpy involved in trying to make life hell for some of the school board members. And we had some here, I believe it was perhaps Oconomowoc or somewhere down here in the Milwaukee metro area, like 3 board members just up and resigned because they didn't want to deal with it anymore. Yeah. Kirk, is that an issue up in the Northwoods to your understanding as well?
Oh my God, is it ever? And it's not like people go into school boards, with a political agenda. They usually have kids and they just want to make their schools better. And we're seeing it in Wausau in particular. It's just some insane school board meetings with screaming and yelling. And it's, I don't know who's feeding it. It's Tucker Carlson and everybody with the, I can't believe a stupid mask is enough to try to do a recall election for a school board member. Kids have shown they can wear masks. It's not making them unhealthy. Like, even if you don't think that masks are great or they don't work, like, it's a stupid mask. Like, it's not enough to to cause strife in your school boards for it and make people not want to, good citizens who just want to have their kids have a good education, like quit a school board. Wausau and Stevens Point are up in arms right now, their school boards, because of the backlash.
Kirk, when are you going to be doing the Up North podcast again? People love the Up North podcast.
Oh man. I'm ready to go back and do it. It's going to happen hopefully in the next couple of weeks, maybe even next week. I gotta get my man Pat Kreitlow back on board. He just got back from vacation. I just got back from vacation. We're putting the show together again. And no, it's important to me to do this because Northern Wisconsin needs an outlet for progressive news, and I plug it. After we do the show with you guys, I plug that and put it all over Northern Wisconsin. So we got to keep doing it. It's a big, as you guys know, putting a show together is hard. But I'm willing to do it again for another season.
Yeah, but sometimes guests bring fine beer like Filibuster Ale from the Minocqua Brewing Company. Kirk, if people want to buy this beer or support the Minocqua Brewing Company Super-PAC, how can they do so?
So on our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, there's a store finder. So every place that sells our beer in Wisconsin, you can check and see where to buy it there. It's all over Wisconsin. And then for the Super-PAC, you can just go to the Super-PAC tab on our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, and feel free to donate there. I promise to be a good steward of your progressive dollars.
Kirk Bangstad, Minocqua Brewing Company Super-PAC. Had to think about that. He brings beer. He's a good guy. He's a fine sponsor and a good friend. Thank you so much for coming by.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks,
good to see you again.
More Devil's Advocates. We'll open up the phones. We'll crack another cold one. 844-967-2789.
You want to get nuts? Come on. Let's get nuts.
I support both the action and the objective.
What's this, sir?
Drink it.
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
Sometimes I had too many beers.
That's a lot of nuts!
This is Kirk Bangstad, and I own the Minocqua Brewing Company. This week, our brand new beer called Filibuster Ale will hit store shelves in Madison and across the state. Not only do I think that you're going to love the taste of this hazelnut or filbert, get it? Brown ale, but I'm hoping to call attention to the reason we can't pass legislation to help solve so many problems in this country. The filibuster allows the Republican minority led by Mitch freaking McConnell to block every attempt at making this country better. Unless we kill the filibuster, we can't pass legislation to ensure voting rights, reproductive justice, racial justice, climate action, or workers' rights. Our democracy is at stake, and this outdated rule is the biggest obstacle to saving it. Call your senators, both Tammy Baldwin and Ron frickin' Johnson, and plead with them to do what's right and kill the filibuster. Paid for by the Minocqua Brewing Company Super-PAC.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates, inviting you to join us on Patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to Patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's Patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids, thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
The Devil's Advocates, tackling the issues you're not allowed to talk about at the dinner table.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines are always open for our fair audience. Join us anytime. 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest, a good friend, a fine sponsor, Kirk Bangstad, the Minocqua Brewing Company, and of course the Minocqua Brewing Company Super-PAC. And I'm enjoying the beer, but you know it's thick, it's heavy. And I've been drinking a lot lately. I feel like I might have a problem. So I'm going a little slow here. It's only 250 Central
All right,
Time.
man. No pressure. Just sip on it.
You know,
I've been beer.
I've been day drinking here of late, Dem. I'm sure you've been doing the same. I know you.
Me? I mean, come on. It's the holiday weekend. Of course, there's a little day drinking going on.
Holiday. They got Summerfest going on as well, right?
I did get to Summerfest opening day on this strange. Usually, of course, it's the end of June, beginning of July, but now it's like over 3 weekends in September. Made it down there. I guess it would have been Thursday night. Yeah, little Summerfest action.
How many opening days have you been to in a row? Like most of your adult life, I realize.
In a row, hell, probably 20.
20 years in a row.
Yeah.
That's one tradition Dom likes to keep, getting drunk at Summerfest. And do you drink the beer? Because, you know, I'm not a huge beer guy. I'll drink a beer or two, but, you know, beyond the social component, I'm not a beer guy.
You know, I kind of have a tradition when you get down to Summerfest. Of course, it's on Lake Michigan in Milwaukee, the largest music festival in the world. And
used to be.
It was some slim pickings over on Thursday night opening day. It was a nice night, but it was the first night, and they're checking backs cards, right? So you walk in, you got to show your backs card to get in, but they did not like verify with the driver's license. But it's still it's not the same. So it's really. I was kind of like lamenting the fact, well, it should be called Fall Fest. It's not Summerfest. It's fall. It got dark early, right? Usually we're in June or July. It's still getting light. It still stays light. So it got dark kind of early, and there wasn't a lot of people. I mean, I've been to the Foo Fighters concert, kind of the same grounds several weeks ago. That was packed. But just kind of walking around and enjoying the music. No, it wasn't elbows to asses. Let's put it that way. But yeah, of course we're down there. Some tents, some of the areas do have, liquor play. You can buy liquor if you want, but mostly it's beer. Traditionally, I'll go down and get myself a Liney Summer Shandy. That's what we do. It's summertime at Summerfest. You get a summer shandy.
And now you got to get something pumpkin spice.
Right. Well, I mean, it was like they already had like the Oktoberfest beers out.
Maybe a Filibuster ale with hazelnuts.
I would have loved, actually, the Bernie Brew. I'm a fan, the lager. That's a little more my style. But yeah, when in Rome, drink the beer, man. It's Milwaukee.
Summerfest coming up. We got to make an effort. I feel like we should go to Summerfest.
I got to hit some concerts, man. I love me some Summerfest.
Oh, hey, I meant Oktoberfest. My bad.
Oktoberfest.
I'm confusing my holidays.
I know there's too many festivals coming up at the end. Brian, you got to throw something in there?
Oh, I was just saying I've been on a bender without knowing that I've been on a bender.
Been on a horse?
Yeah. Since last Sunday, one day off. I went to the Dells for a couple of days, and I went to Green Day, and I had a day off, and I went to a garage party. Then I went to I went to a cousin's fest at there's a lake with a bunch of fireworks, and they light up flares all over the place, Kansasville, Wisconsin. Then I went to a Lions Fest down the street in Oak Creek, saw Mount Olive, had a lot of fun there from what I'm told. And
excellent.
And then yesterday I was on a boat.
On a boat.
Yeah.
Any concern, fellas? So the biggest crowd I was in that I've been in the last month would have been the Foo Fighters concert. And when I got there, I was kind of like, oh, damn, I should have grabbed my mask, because there were a few people, maybe 5% of the crowd that I saw were wearing their masks. And it really wasn't a big deal until you're kind of trying to get in and out, right? But other than that, even the Summerfest crowd on Thursday was not packed. I've been to a couple of house party kind of things, but I haven't really been to huge crowds. Lots of, baseball going on right now. I saw the Wisconsin Badgers, Camp Randall packed.
Jump
around.
Any concerns? Sad outcome. Yeah, the Badgers showed very little offensive acumen on Saturday.
Let me clarify. Any concerns about the COVID? Super spreaders, all that kind of stuff.
Well, I was in a country bar on Saturday for a while. I was in a comedy club, a basement comedy club on State Street, Madison. Saw Michelle Wolf. Nice. Michelle Wolf, the lady that offended the Trump team during the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Well, those snowflakes, they get offended easily.
She was very, very funny. We found her to be exceptionally funny, and we kind of sat in the back, but that's more so I get drinks quick and I can hit the restroom when I want to. But we sat in the back of the room, but it's a larger room, and it's a basement. So I'm thinking, how good's the ventilation system down here? Fortunately, they don't let you smoke or anything, so you don't really know for sure. But I got to think, while the overwhelming crowd seemed to be, lefty, blue, there's always a couple of Trumpsters, right? There's always cousin Eddie who got tickets along with the rest, got dragged along to the show just to see if he'd light up at the Michelle Wolf show. So that was in an enclosed space, and that was a couple hours. But we wore masks. But then as soon as you get there, you take your mask off. 2-drink minimum, right? So I never slowed down the drinking, so I never put my mask back on. Then went to a country bar on Saturday night, and then partied outside on a country bar deck on Sunday night. And then unfortunately, my wife got a bee sting in her throat on Monday. Yeah, it was terrible. Damn. And she was drinking a kombucha. And I'm thinking, well, that'll teach you. Never drink that stuff. The kombucha will kill you every time. Well, at least the bee that had snuck into her beverage.
Oh,
and she
terrible.
drank it.
Oh, God.
And the bee stung her inside.
Oh,
I know. It hurts just to talk about.
Is she allergic to bees? Like how is it?
She's
just like
very
regular?
reactive to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
And within 2 minutes, I'm like, get in the car. Just went straight to the emergency room.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking, oh God, what's it like with COVID? We're outside of Madison. We're outside of a metro area, a very nice hospital, very expensive copay. But anyways, well worth it. My wife's health, very important to the entirety of the family and everyone she knows. But yeah, it was a long day for her. And I got to hang out in the emergency room on Labor Day. My wife wanted desperately to have a pool day and eat her fajitas. She had started fajitas in the morning. So I had to go back and take the fajitas down the hill for others to eat. And then she came back after her stay at the hospital and she had one fajita. So I'm hoping that was sort of the capper for the day.
Right.
She got
Any
a
issues
fajito.
getting in? You're talking, outside of a metro area, country bars. Was there any issues getting her the health care that you needed?
No, she got immediate care. I mean, EpiPen and they took care of her immediately. Seemed like it could be a bad situation. And fortunately it was not. I'm very happy. My wife's doing okay and out of the hospital, didn't even stay the night. But her blood pressure after that EpiPen, it was thumping. I could see her pulse in her throat.
Wow.
It was up like that. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, more stories of the weekend. More hair of the dog.
Like a porn star says when she's about to have sex with a Trump. Let's get this over with.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids, thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Greetings, everyone. This is Nate Tim inviting you to my show, Lay of the Land, about life and politics in rural Wisconsin. Join me every Thursday at 7 p.m. for ideas, guests, and conversation on Devil Radio.
You are listening to WTTN Columbus, W224EG Madison, always streaming at devilradio927.com.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. Following months of protests by Democrats, the Republican governor of Texas signed an overhaul of the state's election rules. The AP's Ben Thomas has the story.
Election integrity is now law in the state of Texas.
Governor Greg Abbott maintains the law will make it easier to vote in Texas, providing more time for early voting and more flexibility on Election Day. But he does expect it to be challenged in court and upheld.
No one who is eligible to vote will be denied the opportunity to vote. It does, however, make it harder for cheaters to cast an illegal ballot. Those are the kinds of principles that the courts will uphold.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says President Biden stands with Texans who have already begun filing lawsuits in federal court. I'm Ben Thomas.
President Biden got another look at the damage from Ida, this time in Manville, New Jersey.
Thank God you're safe.
Thank God,
That's the most important thing.
We'll help you rebuild. For goodness sake.
Thank you, Mr. President.
The president said he was surprised by the storm surge damage. He's pushing for a boost in infrastructure and action to deal with climate change.
I think we're at one of those inflection points where we either act or we're going to be in real trouble. Our kids are going to be in real trouble.
The president says every part of the country is getting hit by extreme weather. Mexico's Supreme Court ruled punishing abortion is unconstitutional, unanimously annulling several provisions of a law from a state on the Texas border that had made abortion a criminal act. Crisis standards of care has been activated in parts of Idaho. There are more coronavirus patients than hospitals can handle. The UK recorded its biggest daily increase in coronavirus deaths in 6 months. New infections are expected to rise even further because of the return of children to school. NASA's newest Mars rover has completed its first sample grab, tucking away the tube of rock for return to Earth. This is AP News.
Start fall with everything to do business better during Dell Technologies Labor Day event. Save up to 45% on select business PCs with Windows 10 Pro. Power your workday with savings on Dell servers, monitors, docks, and other accessories, plus free shipping on everything. Do more with modern devices and Windows 10 Pro. Call 877-ASK-DELL for a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the right tech. That's 877-ASK-DELL for business specials during Dell's Labor Day event.
My stomach.
Don't worry, I've got you covered.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
What's that?
It's Pepto-Bismol Chews.
Pepto-Bismols in a chew?
Yeah, they taste great and provide fast relief. And you can always have Pepto-Bismol handy.
Ooh, let me try it.
Try Pepto-Bismol Chews for fast relief.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
This is Chad Spate. Are you thinking about improving or expanding your home? At Chad's Design Build, we're committed to making your home comfortable, healthy, attractive, durable, and sustainable. In fact, those commitments spell our name. And we deliver these services with our outstanding team of professionals who will respect you and your home. Visit our website at chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more about how we are building a better world, one remodeled home at a time.
Read all about it.
Hey, what's going on? Oh, didn't you hear? Knuckleheads is moving locations, but not to worry. Knuckleheads will still be on State Street and your best shop for CBD and wellness. And it's going to be at 520 State Street on ground level, which is 100% handicap accessible. Stop by the new digs from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. any day of the week and get 15% off when you mention Devil Radio. I'm Lando Commando, and I'll see you there at our new location, 520 State Street.
Extra!
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates, and he would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
This is Crudy, and I recommend calling Dave and the team at Community PC to solve all your computing needs. What do I call Community PC? Because I don't want to learn new things about tech. Because I don't want to call the manufacturer's customer service line and waste half the day of my life. Because I don't want to ask my kid for help and have him respond, okay, boomer. Just call Community PC at 608-268-7178 for their patient service. Just let Community PC fix it. 608-268-7178. Call today.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. After a dry and hot summer, Wisconsin's cranberry crop is now expected to be about average size and possibly even above average, according to experts. Back in August, the cranberry forecast estimated the state would produce about 4.92 million barrels of cranberries this year. But now the Wisconsin Cranberry Growers Association estimates the crop yield will be closer to the state's average of around 5.5 million barrels of cranberries for 2021. According to findings from a new report by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Wisconsinites need to compost more food waste and recycle paper and plastic materials better. The department studied landfills around the state over the last year and found Wisconsin municipal waste was 30% food scraps, 21% paper materials, and more than 17% plastic waste. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, I got more important details from my weekend I want to share with you and the audience.
Please.
It's all about me and what I and my family have done over the course of the weekend. Well, of course, couldn't go up to our camper until after the Badger game, after my beloved UW Badgers kicked off the season. And that game played on Fox Sports. Wanted to watch it from the house. Didn't have tickets. Didn't really want to go out to a crowd of 80,000. Although I can tell you this, I am unafraid of being outdoors in a crowd. It's indoor settings that make me just a little skosh nervous. But anyways, watching the Foxy Sports and the pregame show, the big noon kickoff, whatever they call it. And one of their sports journalists is Clay Travis.
Who's Clay Travis?
Yeah, you're unfamiliar with Clay Travis, Dom. Well, Clay Travis has been a sports guy for some number of years, some renowned from his sports journalism, but he's got a new gig as well. Clay Travis is the new Rush Limbaugh, and he's part of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show on iHeartMedia all around the nation.
Clay and Buck. Is there
Clay
a
Travis.
yeehaw somewhere in there as well? I mean, or is there a white pickup truck? What are you talking about? Clay and Buck?
Clay and Buck. And there's probably some yeehawing going on. But these guys are rampant anti-maskers. And I won't go so far as to call them anti-vaxxers, but they're certainly anti-maskers. And during the course of this Saturday pregame, getting ready to watch a little college football should be a non-political exercise, right? And there's Clay Travis. There's the guy who's on Whitey Righty Talk Radio during the week telling people, go get your ivermectin. Don't wear a mask, especially don't let your kids wear masks back to school. That's tyrannical. That's the attitude the guy takes Monday through Friday on his Righty Talk Radio show. And I don't feel like they're the, of all the two white guys together doing political talk together.
There's better guys out there.
I think there are better guys out there doing the political talk because they don't even argue. They're all kind of in agreement. They're sort of in lockstep, he and Buck. But anyways, pregame show, and here he is. And he's interviewing a former Heisman Trophy winner who also
football. What's the problem?
Happens to be a U.S. Senate candidate from Georgia. It was Herschel Walker. And Herschel Walker had no sooner made the announcement he's running for the U.S. Senate than there have been some accusers that have come out of the woodwork and said that Herschel Walker is something of a threatening sort in the domestic sense. So he got a little bit of bad press with his senatorial rollout, but nothing but the good times remembered by Clay Travis and Herschel Walker And I'm thinking, so you got a right-wing talk radio host interviewing a guy who certainly had a tremendous sports resume, but he's pertinent right now because he's running for the U.S. Senate. And they're doing a little reclamation on his reputation Saturday morning. Oh, let's talk about the good old days, the Heisman days. You were the greatest football player ever, Herschel. Wonder what he's up to now. Oh, yeah, he's running for the U.S. Senate. I think he's running against Warnock. So anyways, I took a little umbrage. I'm thinking, pick a lane. You can't be a righty-whitey talk radio host, an anti-masker, anti-vaxxer, pro-ivermectin guy, and then go on and get to, claim higher ground as a journalist who's also happening to interview a guy who happens to be running for the U.S. Senate from Georgia.
Now, did this is Clay, not Buck, right? Clay?
This was Clay.
Did Clay, if he's interviewing the running back, Herschel Walker, did he inquire as to some of the new news coming out about Mr. Walker's behavior in the past? Was that part of the conversation?
I feel like they skirted over that. The senatorial run, the bad headlines, the support of Donald Trump, all that stuff. It wasn't about that. It wasn't political. We're talking football. It's Saturday morning. Get ready for the big game. If you weren't to know what these guys do during the week, Dom, you'd just think, wow, that's a fine journalistic interview of a former Heisman great, Herschel Walker, by that white sports guy, Clay Travis, who, God, I feel like his name should be familiar. I've heard his name a lot recently. Wonder what else he does.
So your objection is what? That they're using the cover of sports?
Yes.
To, put each other out there in positive light.
Sure.
Well, wasn't Rush Limbaugh on Monday Night Football for a stint?
Yeah, until he turns out he was quite racist and said some things inopportune about the black quarterbacks. Yeah, he was on there briefly. Hell, Dennis Miller had a run on Monday Night Quarterback, Monday Night Football. They let a lot of jokers on that show, apparently. Try him on. Fancy Brian, anyone else you can think of? Any other experiments on the big Monday Night Football?
Literally the only thing I remember about Dennis Miller was he made some Millennium Falcon Chewbacca reference, and it still flew over my head, and I was like, but I know about this stuff.
Yeah, he's a little arcane, sort of multifaceted.
Wasn't the Herschel Walker trade to Minnesota basically what seeded the championship Dallas team? I mean, they got lots and lots of trades for him. I think they got Emmitt Smith out of that, right?
Either way, he's a symbol of people being conned.
Well, didn't he also in the NFL, or pardon me, USFL? Wasn't Herschel Walker the running back for the New Jersey Generals? And wasn't it his quest to purchase the New Jersey Generals in no small part by Donald Trump that effectively ended the viability of the USFL? I mean, Donald Trump killed the USFL. He killed an entire football league.
Oh, that's nothing. He's on track to kill democracy. He was just warming up. So the sports world has been doing this for quite some time. This isn't anything new. Can you think of any incidents where this would happen on the other side where, Curdy, come on, man, you went to school. You wanted to be Chris Berman, right? You wanted to be a sportscaster guy, right? So
well, I was a sportscaster guy.
If you had the opportunity now to go on and interview some, left-leaning NFL player prior to a college game, would it be appropriate for you to do so?
No, probably not. If I'm there as a journalist, if I'm there as a sports guy, no, you shouldn't be interviewing the guy. And
should be crossing the streams, man.
Well, Herschel Walker is a declared candidate now. I don't think he should be getting the free press. I don't think he should be getting a lift from Fox Sports or Fox News.
Are you kidding me? I mean, how much free press did Donald Trump get during his presidential run?
Yeah, look how well that turned out for the nation.
Well, but I mean, anybody can get free press, right? I mean, if you can get it, you can get it. You take it if you can get it.
They putting you on Fox News or Fox Sports this weekend, Dom? Can you get on either of those fine channels?
Nah, I'm not a sports guy. You're the sports guy.
Well, hardly, but I've been on the Foxy News once or twice down, but that's sort of an invite-only thing. They don't do open casting calls. I'm just saying. But it's the fact that the guy's misinforming the populace during the course of the week, and he gets the cover of being a sports journalist on Fox Sports on the weekend. This is one of the biggest sports athletic outfits in broadcast. And so anyways, Dom, ivermectin, this topic. I don't know if you saw the ad that ran this weekend, I think primarily in Florida, but here's the newest from the Lincoln Project. Ivermectin, is it right for you?
Now more than ever, it's important for Americans to take care of their health. When it comes to protecting yourself against the COVID-19 virus, the FDA-approved vaccine might not be the right choice for patients who are allergic to reality. That's why there's ivermectin, the COVID-19 treatment option for real patriots. With ivermectin, you can say nay to the FDA and take matters into your own hooves. Don't take ivermectin if you plan on driving, operating heavy machinery, or if you're wearing your good pants. Side effects of ivermectin can include uncontrollable vomiting and diarrhea, the inability to pronounce Kamala Harris's name, or a sudden urge to speak to the manager. Some patients taking ivermectin have reported hallucinations of lizard people in the halls of Congress, and in rare cases, finding Joe Rogan's podcast helpful and/or informative. Call your doctor if you begin to experience delusions of grandeur about the supremacy of your race. Homicidal thoughts or actions toward your elected representatives can occur without warning. Join the herd. Talk to your large animal veterinarian about ivermectin today. Or don't, because you're not a f***ing sheep.
So anyways, I hear these bitey righties defending ivermectin, and they're doing it. I hear Clay Travis doing it. I hear the local guy, the whitey righty guy, Milwaukee Medicine, Dan O'Donnell doing it. They're defending the ivermectin. I'm thinking, why would you do this? There is a vaccine for the COVID, but they're so insistent on not taking the vaccine for the COVID, not doing the right thing, and defending ivermectin.
Oh, it's today's hydroxychloroquine, and in a couple of months it'll be some other jackass who went on the internet and thinks that, oh, I found the secret, I found the solution. You know, the CDC didn't do that, and you know, all these smart researchers with more degrees than most of the Trump supporters, but they found it. They found it on the internet.
Well, you know, there was a fake news story over the course of the weekend. Apparently, an Oklahoma doctor claimed that the rural hospitals in Oklahoma are packed full of people ODing on ivermectin. And that's clearly not the case because, of course, they're all full of people with COVID-19. But the defense of the ivermectin, you know, the hospitals aren't full of patients with ivermectin poisoning. This is their defense. And of course, they fail to point out the fact people are dying of the actual COVID-19. And there's a cure, but you won't take it.
Personal file 69. Offense. He was giving them the business.
I'm not a respected source of information, even for me.
Come on, you stupid horse. I got my last $10 on you.
I'm not a doctor. I'm a moron.
Did I get it?
Should I wait?
Is it safe?
It's okay to have questions. Now, get the facts. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so that you can make an informed decision when COVID-19 vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at P4PPC.org.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
According to the Federalist Waller account being read into the congressional record by Ron Johnson, if this is just a small number of instigators in 100,000 true Trump-loving people, why did the Trumpsters stop the instigators? Why wouldn't you say, hey, they're not like us, let's stop those guys, instead of joining them in breaking into the U.S. Capitol?
I really believe I'd run into, even if I didn't have a weapon.
Listen to Devil's Advocates weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m.
All veils and misty streets are blue.
62% of the time, they're right every time. Dom and Cruz are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Welcome back, everybody. You can join us on the phones at 844-967-2789.
So, Dominic, have you considered taking the ivermectin? I hear all the kids are doing it now.
So I did a quick search over the break here, and what is ivermectin? First thing that pops up, FDA.gov. Why you should not use ivermectin to treat or prevent COVID-19. I mean, if all these, keyboard warriors are out there doing their own research, did you miss the first one on the Googles?
No, sir, I didn't like it.
Oh, and Joe Rogan, Kurt, you brought this one up. Joe Rogan, according to the Raw story, he's gonna sue now. According to Sky Palmo reporting, during a recent episode of his podcast that was aired after his announcement that he contracted COVID-19, Joe Rogan accused CNN of making up regarding the treatments he claimed he received from doctors. Do I have to sue CNN? Rogan asked his guest, stand-up comedian Tom Segura, referring to a video where Rogan announced that he was taking ivermectin along with other medications. They're making up. They keep saying I'm taking horse dewormer. I literally got it from a doctor. It's an American company that won the Nobel Prize in 2015 for use in human beings, and CNN is saying I'm taking horse dewormer. They must know it's a lie. Rogan continued, later adding, if the internet is saying it, who cares? But CNN is saying it.
Well, I keep hearing the righty-whitey sorts and Joe Rogan apparently defending ivermectin with the whole, somebody won a Nobel Science Prize with this thing. Not for the treatment of COVID-19.
Right, dude.
As an anti-malarial perhaps, but whatever. Dominic,
hang on. So the FDA, here's specifically what they state. The FDA has not authorized or approved ivermectin for use in preventing or treating COVID-19 in humans or animals. Ivermectin is approved for human use to treat infections caused by some parasitic worms and head lice and skin conditions.
Head lice, COVID, whatever ails you. I've got a little touch here. NPR, my source, Dom, poison control centers are seeing a dramatic surge in calls from people who are self-medicating with ivermectin, an anti-parasitic drug for animals that some falsely claim treats COVID-19. According to the National Poison Data Center, which collects information from the nation's 55 poison control centers, there was a 245% jump in reported exposures from July to August, from 133 to 459. So, nationwide, there's only like 460 people that OD'd on the ivermectin, Dom. Numerically, is that a really big number?
No, it's not. Not statistically as compared to the population of the United States. No.
Meanwhile, emergency rooms across the country are treating more patients who have taken the drug after being persuaded by false and misleading information spread on the interwebs by talk show hosts and by political leaders. Most patients are overdosing on a version of the drug that is formulated to treat parasites in the cows and the horses, Tom. The troubling trend has been on the rise since the start of 2021, despite warnings from the state health officials and the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention against taking ivermectin. The NPDS says 1,143 ivermectin exposure cases were reported this year. That's 163% increase over the same period last year. And the one study that apparently was done that showed some modest promise of using ivermectin to treat the COVID-19, that particular study has now been debunked.
Real quick, guys, question for you. In about a month, the Nobel Prizes are going to be awarded. There's a really good shot that the vaccine that has been treated over 1 billion people worldwide and pretty much stopped, COVID spread in most other places. There's a good shot that might be up for the Nobel Prize. When and if that wins the Nobel Prize, do you think they're going to move the goalpost again in like a month?
Right. First it was, well, it's not FDA approved. Well, now it's FDA approved. Well, I mean, it didn't win a Nobel Prize. I mean, they're going to find every reason under the sun. But statistically, I mean, 100,000 new COVID hospitalizations in this country in the last 2 weeks. And as of right now, we are more than double hospitalizations from Labor Day of 2020. After we've come up with this life-saving vaccine. I mean, so 400 people ODing on ivermectin, not a big deal. But 100,000 people in 2 weeks hospitalized because of COVID. The unvaccinated continue to give this virus the opportunity to continue to evolve and mutate. And now we got I don't even know how to say
freedom.
The MU, a new variant now in like 48 states. Here we go. It's just going to keep on keeping on until we get a majority of people in this country vaccinated.
You act like that's a bad thing.
It's a little concerning.
844-967-2789. Let's go to the phones. Tom from Madison. Welcome, Tom. You taking the ivermectin yet?
Hey, Tom.
I don't know. It's all Wilbur. I don't know.
No.
It's been crazy. I just wanted to call you because I just got off the phone with a friend up in Minnesota, and he was talking to somebody he had seen on Facebook. They were like high school buddies and stuff like that. And she said, I'm not taking that vaccine because if I do, it helps Joe Biden.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's just like, and we're like, he said for the first time in a long time, he was speechless. He didn't have anything.
Yeah, but Donald Trump created the vaccine, Tom, right? I mean, how about that for the comeback? And apparently Donald Trump took the vaccine, so should you.
Yeah, but he's not going to take the booster.
Yeah, but did he really? I mean, I think he's playing chess while you guys are playing Yahtzee.
You're all wrong. We're playing Kismet over here. Appreciate it.
There you go.
Appreciate it, Tom. Thanks for listening. Come back with us. More of your phone calls, perhaps. 844-967-2789. We'll be dosing up with our ivermectin. We'll be right back.
I'm not a respected source of information, even for me.
He called me fat and said I was going to die on the toilet.
I'm not a doctor. I'm a moron.
You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 and WTTN 1580 AM. And that's pretty cool.
This is Pat Slattery of Slattery's Automotive Service in Verona. Established in 1973, I've been servicing and repairing cars in the Madison community for nearly 50 years. You can trust me to tell you what your car really needs and fix it right the first time. Give me a call at 608-848-6123 to schedule an appointment today. Slattery's Automotive Service, your trusted choice for local service and repairs for all your automotive needs.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidate.
Coronavirus update. I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. Stocks finished mixed. The Dow down 269 points. Press Secretary Jen Psaki says President Biden will speak to the nation later this week about his plan to stop the spread of the Delta variant.
As he has said since day one, his administration will pull every lever to get the pandemic under control. And on Thursday, he will lay out a 6-pronged strategy.
The state of Idaho has activated some hospitals because of the coronavirus. Here's the AP's Rita Foley.
Public health leaders activated what are called crisis standards of care for the hospitals in the northern and north central part of Idaho because there are more coronavirus patients than the hospitals can handle. That means hospitals can now dedicate scarce resources like intensive care unit rooms to patients most likely to survive.
Arizona's Attorney General says Tucson's vaccine mandate for city employees is illegal. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey signed an executive order last month banning vaccine mandates. I'm Ed Donahue.
Start fall with everything to do business better during Dell Technologies Labor Day event. Save up to 45% on select business PCs with Windows 10 Pro. Power your workday with savings on Dell servers, monitors, docks, and other accessories, plus free shipping on everything. Do more with modern devices and Windows 10 Pro. Call 877-ASK-DELL for a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the right tech. That's 877-ASK-DELL for business specials during Dell's Labor Day event.
Ugh, my stomach.
Don't worry, I've got you covered.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
What's that?
It's Pepto-Bismol Chews.
Pepto-Bismol's in a chew?
Yeah, they taste great and provide fast relief. And you can always have Pepto-Bismol handy.
Ooh, let me try it.
Try Pepto-Bismol Chews for fast relief.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. Last week, Republican lawmakers in Wisconsin announced divided positions on how to address the University of Wisconsin system and interim UW system president Tommy Thompson's decision not to comply with a legislative rule requiring the Republican-led legislature to sign off on any COVID-19 mitigation strategy on a UW system campus. Assembly Majority Leader Jim Steineke stated last week he did not support taking the UW system to court, and State Senator Robert Cowles said he supports the UW system making their own decisions. State Senator Steve Noss ended the week saying he will formally ask the leaders of the State Assembly and Senate to sue the UW system for not complying with the legislative rule. Forecasts of scattered thunderstorms with the possibility for gusting winds and small hail today and a high of 79 degrees. Clear skies in the forecast tonight with an overnight low of 57 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Devil's Advocates Radio for the 99%.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Labor Day Tuesday edition. Bill in Milwaukee, he texted in something of an endorsement for the ivermectin. Said, especially his wife approves because now he's hung like a horse. Bill's joke. I'm just taking it straight off the text line at 844-967-2789.
That's a joke, kids. Don't take the ivermectin. Go get your COVID shot.
You know, there's an article at the Raw Story.com. I often go there. And this one, troubling. Truck driver in the ICU wishes he'd been vaccinated, but he listened to conservative talk radio. You know, I've been troubled. You know, at some point, is there some culpability? If you're encouraging your audience to go take the ivermectin and to avoid, you know, taking the COVID vaccine and, you know, wear a mask or don't wear a mask more accurately, and it's tyrannical to ask me to do so. I mean, above and beyond those, you know, picking fights with the flight attendants and school board presidents, Dominic, some are believing it and some are dying because of it. A little bit here. Nashville Public Radio on Saturday released a story titled Tennessee ICUs full of vaccine regret. The station interviewed Joe Gammon from his ICU bed. Gammon is a truck driver from Las Casas who says he's listening to a lot of conservative talk radio, and the daily diatribes downplaying the pandemic and promoting personal freedom were enough to dissuade him from vaccination, the network explained. Tennessee hospitals are setting new records each day, caring for more COVID patients than ever, and the most critical are almost all unvaccinated, meaning ICUs are filled with regretful patients hoping for a second chance. Gammon, 45, is a father of 6. Here's a quote. If I would have known 6 months ago that this could be possible, this would have been a no-brainer, but I honestly didn't think I was at any risk. This is the naive portion on my end. Just to say no is irresponsible because it might not necessarily affect you, but if it affected your spouse or your child, you wouldn't want that, and you sure wouldn't want that on your heart, he explained. So people could literally die from the information, the misinformation they're getting from right-wing talk radio and Foxy News and, guys like Clay Travis and Clan O'Donnell. That bothers me. And I think their broadcast outfits, the networks, the iHeart Medias of the world, I think that they, have some blood on their hands. How can you allow your broadcasters to go out and say crap like that? Really, at some point. I mean, most radio stations are owned by a corporation. Is it a good business model to allow your host to go out there and discourage their audiences from getting a cure in the middle of a pandemic?
From taking, FDA approved, vaccines and using safety measures to save their lives and others. I mean, would it be any different if they said, go shoot guns into the air or, ride your motorcycle without the helmet or don't wear your seatbelt? I
the very same right-wing talk radio station, the iHeart radio station here locally, where I'm hearing Clay Travis, the Foxy sports guy turned right-wing talk radio host, and the Clan O'Donnell in the morning, 2 of their new big sponsors, Smith & Wesson, bringing you the American dream, 1 bullet at a time, apparently. And they've got another one now for like the meals ready to eat for the end times prepper. Discreet delivery to your house. And just
the MREs will never see them coming. I mean, but that tells you, doesn't that tell you a whole lot? Number one, about who is listening to that message, and they're pandering to the audience.
Well, I think in no small way, Dom, they're also selling snake oil. I believe they want their audience believing these sort of things, Dom. I mean, how many supplements and crap do they sell on right-wing talk radio? It's not all pre-lubed catheters over there on Fox News, although there are a lot of ads for pre-lubed catheters on Fox News. You know what their target demographic might happen to be. But mostly, I think it's the gullible, the sorts willing to invest their hard-earned dollars in buying snake oil from a grifter. Because effectively, that's what they're doing.
They voted for Donald Trump. Of course, they're down with the snake oil salesman. That's their cult leader. And so you have all the little snake oil salesmen. I mean, look at the My Pillow guy. Look at Rudy Giuliani. Look at people that have been surrounding Trump. That is what this is. And they cloak it up with newsiness and journalistic presentation. But at the end of the day, it's snake oil. And they want what are they doing? They want that audience to stay motivated, to stay engaged. They want that audience to think that, the man's coming down on them. Oh, it's Biden. It's this out of control government, and you have the freedom to do yada, 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 and go buy your Smith & Wesson and your pre-lubed catheters.
Dominic, here's the broader problem. You may think I'm being half hyperbolic when I say, right-wing talk radio broadcasting stations, the networks, should be responsible for the actions of their host, at least if they allow them to continue as such. And you might say, well, just because they're promoting ivermectin on the show, most people, they might crap their pants and go to the emergency room, but they're not probably going to die from it.
Probably not.
but they could literally die from the failure to take the vaccine. And this democracy could literally die from right-wing talk radio propagating the big lie. And that's still going on, Dom. I mean, they're promoting the next January 6th. It's coming up on September 18th. There's a new march on the Capitol. And I believe Christopher Wray,
Excellent.
the FBI director, said, be aware that there are a lot of people out there that mean really bad things. And some of those, they're self-motivated. No doubt. The militia group types, they're self-motivated. But some of them, they're supportive. The people, the joiners, the sheeple, well, they're being cultivated by right-wing talk radio as we speak. I think it's more dangerous than simply telling your audience to take ivermectin.
Well, it's a continuation of the same kind of conversation. I want to throw this out there, Kurt, before we get kind of down that wormhole, because there is some updates on some pleadings from the Trump terrorists.
The QAnon shaman's guilty, I hear.
Yes. I want to throw this one out there quickly, Kurti. Boise, Idaho, from the AP. Idaho public health leaders announced Tuesday that they activated crisis standards of care, allowing healthcare rationing for the state's northern hospitals because there are more coronavirus patients than the institutions can handle. The Idaho Department of Health and Welfare quietly enacted the move Monday and publicly announced it in a statement Tuesday morning, warning residents that they may not get the care they would normally expect if they need to be hospitalized. The move came as the state's confirmed coronavirus cases skyrocketed in recent weeks. Idaho has one of the lowest vaccination rates in the United States. The state health agency cited a severe shortage of staffing and available beds in the northern area, and the state caused by a massive increase in patients with COVID-19 who require hospitalizations. The designation includes 10 hospitals and healthcare systems in the Idaho Panhandle and northern central Idaho. The agency said its goal is to extend care to as many patients as possible and to save as many lives as possible. The move allows hospitals to allot scarce resources like intensive care unit rooms to patients most likely to survive. Other patients will still receive care, but they may be placed in hospital classrooms or conference rooms rather than traditional hospital rooms or go without some life-saving medical equipment. Other states are preparing to take similar measures if needed. Hawaii's governor also signed an order last week releasing hospitals and healthcare workers from liability if they have to ration healthcare. Idaho Department of Health and Welfare Director Dave Jepson made the decision to enact the crisis care about 5 p.m. Monday after the state's Crisis Standards of Care Activation Advisory Committee determined that all other measures taken to help relieve staffing and bed shortages have been exhausted. The unfolding crush of patients in 2 Idaho hospitals has been anticipated with dread by the state's healthcare workers. Medical experts have said that Idaho could see as many as 30,000 new coronavirus cases a week by 30,000 cases a week in Idaho alone by mid-September if the current rate of infections lasts. Crisis standards of care is a last resort. It means we have exhausted our resources to the point that our healthcare systems are unable to provide the treatment and care we expect. He added, this is a decision I was fervently hoping to avoid. The best tools we have to turn this around is for more people to get vaccinated and wear masks indoors and in outdoor crowded public places. Please choose to get vaccinated as soon as possible. It is your very best protection against being hospitalized from COVID-19. And what I did not hear the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare Director state was anything about ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. Wear a mask, even in outdoors, and I've seen it today as well. Dr. Anthony Fauci suggesting if you're going to be outdoors in crowded areas, Kurti, like Camp Randall, you're going to be up in Lambeau Field hitting all the sports things, you should still be wearing a mask. It's suggested.
844-967-2789.
I mean, they're rationing care, dude. You know what I'm saying? And so when people have other things come up, you have strokes or heart attacks or appendectomies or, anything else, good luck with all that if you're in Idaho. And this is not going to be the only one. So all the Republicans they're all concerned about the death panels, right? Well, here you go, folks. You're rationing care because you people will not get a vaccine.
It crossed my mind yesterday as I was rushing my wife to the emergency room. It came to my thought process, what if they're full?
Right.
What if there's no available care? And my wife's freaking out. And as far as she knows, she's losing the ability to breathe in real time by the minute. And, I was very grateful for the care she received, but not everyone was getting care at that emergency room in Sauk yesterday. I was listening to a guy calling someone, and he said, I feel like my leg's broken, but I'm going to be here for hours. And I noted that they did have a lot of the, they were wearing the face shields, and a lot of them had the respirators, the PPE. And I mean, what a pain in the ass to have to walk around your workplace in a spacesuit just to try and not get this deadly disease. And then I heard part of this thought of rationing. It has been proposed. And in the military, I was a combat medic. We learned all about triaging. Who's most likely to live? If you only have enough time to save 3 of 5 patients, which 2 don't make it? I mean, that's a real life consequence. That is what these hospitals are facing now. We can't save all the patients. So who do you save first? Do you save the guy who got vaccinated, or do you save the guy who's unvaccinated and probably has a higher level of crisis, right? Well, you're far more likely to save the guy that actually did his part and got vaccinated. But these righty-whitey talk radio hosts, this sports guy Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, they're outraged. They're morally outraged that some doctor would consider triaging and not taking the most sick patient first. So if someone's got to die, it shouldn't be some vaccine refusing lister of their fine program. And I'm thinking, what self-serving advice? Of course you want the treatment first, but you refuse to take the vaccine. You refuse to wear a mask. You advocate for ivermectin on your show. Well, light it up. All the Buck and Clay listeners in America, you can have all the horse ivermectin or even the human ivermectin you want. No worms for any of you. And if you crap your pants, so what? I don't care. If you die of the COVID, well, that was the treatment course you sought. Because the hospital beds and the ventilators, let's save those for the breakthrough patients. And that is an unusually rare number. And here's what's really scary, Dom. We got way more people in the ICUs on this Labor Day than we did a year ago on Labor Day.
Yes, we certainly double.
We haven't even gone into the cold and flu season yet. It's just getting started. It's September now. Back to school, back to work, back to the ICU, and, back to the airwaves for right-wing talk radio. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. We got a job to do here as well, and your participation always encouraged. 844-967-2789.
What are you selling, Mr. Snake Oil?
If I were to guess, I have one name in mind.
Horsey McHorseface.
Hey, Wisconsin, this is Kirk Bangstad, and I own the Minocqua Brewing Company. Usually, I promote my progressive beer on this station, but today I wanted to promote these guys at Devil Radio. Devil Radio is the only progressive talk station in the state, and there are no less than 81 conservative talk stations in Wisconsin that spew crazy Trump cult rhetoric. While the Republicans have big pockets to fund these stations and manipulate Wisconsinites to vote against their own interests, Democrats have to rely on grassroots donations to get their message out. So I'm asking you to donate some money to these guys and keep them on the air. And I'm asking you to do it in September because every dollar you donate this month will be matched by an anonymous donor that cares about making Wisconsin a democracy again and knows that this radio station helps with that mission. So please donate today at devilradio927.com at the Support Devil Radio tab. Again, send some big bucks to devilradio927.com at the Support Devil Radio tab.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hi, this is Dom from the Devil's Advocates inviting you to join us on patreon.com. Patreon allows for our audience to access exclusive programming not available anywhere else and gives you the ability to directly support the greatest radio show ever. History's patrons have supported the works of Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Monet, and now with your support, the Devil's Advocates. So please go to patreon.com and search the Devil's Advocates to pick your subscription. That's patreon.com and the Devil's Advocates, the greatest radio show ever.
The Devil's Advocates, the fix for political junkies everywhere.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Be a part of history. Call us at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, got to get on my microphone here. Then we'll go to the phones. Joe from Stevens Point. Welcome back, Joe. What do you got for us?
Hey, Joe.
What's up, guys? I just think that Democrats should do a pledge, to not have these anti-maskers, insurrectionists clog up our hospital system. Go ahead and be, the person you say you're going to be, but do not haul your ass to the emergency room. Suffer in silence and go away. And here's the other side of that is 2 out of 3 people support mask requirements. That's where Joe Biden pays the price if he doesn't step up to the pump and put the energy into that initiative, because we're going to collapse this thing. We've seen this movie before. If we keep living out of the tight shoes and the monkey uniforms that the Republicans always try and suit us up in and we can't be that guy. We got to lay out who we are going to be. And I think, 6 out of 10 people right now, it's that dreaded right track, wrong track poll. 6 out of 10 say we're on the wrong track. Nobody's feeling safe in this transaction, and Joe Biden better get to school, because this, Republicans never pay a look back price. They can talk ivermectin, they can talk goblins, QAnon, they can talk anything. But the fact of the matter is we're about ready to get our asses handed to us and losing to a bunch of psychopaths. So we wrote, this is a story about what can Democrats do for you, and getting out to where Kirk Bangstad is at and getting into those uncontested areas. When we go out there and we tell people, I'm a Democrat, you're down by 10. You're down by 10 points. And we're not even challenging the lunacy. And we can do it, man. But we have got to talk about what we're going to do, not always living in the framed up issue of like, Clay Travis thinks I'm crazy because fill in the blank. And then we spend all of our time combating against a bunch of, chipmunks that don't amount to anything. And they're not getting, that's why Trump is the first president to lose the House of Representatives, the Senate, and his presidency since way back Herbert Hoover. Okay, that people are not digging that clown, but we can't measure ourselves up time and time again to a bunch of clowns. So that's my piece, guys. This is ours to lose. Mask requirements are massively supported. Republicans, just be the person you say you're going to be. Don't clog up the emergency rooms. Joe Biden, you got to make mandatory masks at the bare minimum. And if he doesn't do it, we will pay a price. What do you guys think?
Well, I agree with your passion, Joe. I don't know if Joe Biden in and of himself can somehow mandate us through this pandemic. Of course, it takes the actions. I believe the World Health Organization said today, Joe, COVID-19 is never going to end now. It's too late now. We're always going to have offshoots of this variant. And my fear is we're always going to have Republicans resistant to getting vaccinated, never going to wear a mask, never going to, stop the rolling threat that happens worse at certain times than others. And the rest of us will have to deal with this perhaps for the rest of our lives, Joe. So a guy can go listen to the dead Rush Limbaugh show, because Rush said it was a cold, right? I mean, the guy's dying of cancer, but he's denying the death factor of COVID, as all good Republican right-wing talk radio hosts do. It's no worse than what, Dom? We're only approaching 700,000 dead this year. I mean, I was driving on the highway this morning. I see something like 354 Wisconsinites have died on the roads this year. I'm thinking the last year and a half, we've had 7,500 die of COVID. We'd be shutting down the highways. 844-967-2789. Jeannie from Eau Claire. Welcome, Jean. What do you got for us?
Hey, Jeannie.
Hi, guys. Good show as usual. Yeah, I agree with your former caller that just called prior to my call, and I agree with him 100%. And I agree that, and we also need to start calling out, the bad guys. We can't no longer try to play nice. It's ridiculous. I mean, this is downright negligent. And I agree with you, Crudy, that these stations should be held accountable because they're propagating a lie. They're propagating things that can hurt people. They're lying through their teeth, and these people trust them. And the thing of it is that I listened for years as the right-wing radio stations, because that's all I had, propagated lies. And even the religious stations are going along with all this BS. I mean, I listened to a religious station one day when they were going after the kids. Remember where the shooting was at that school? And them young people marched and they worked together to draw attention to gun violence. There was a religious group running down these kids. I called up. Of course, it was one of those pre-recorded, so you couldn't call in anyway, but I did call the owner of the station. What are you promoting out here? This isn't what I learned in Sunday school. Give me a break. I mean, it's so bad, but these people hear it nonstop. It is like brainwashing. It is brainwashing. People trust these people, and they listen to everything they say as it's the Holy Grail. And remember, they've been targeting Democrats for years, blaming them for everything that they did, and it's just amazing to me because Democrats need to come out fighting and say, hey, well, he didn't do this. Your guy did this. We're doing this. And they need to say what they're doing. I think they need to be bragging what they're doing. They need to educate the people because they've been getting an education that's not even reality. So anyway, that's my $50 worth. I hope you guys have a really good day, and thank you so much for your shows. You are doing an outstanding service to our country and to our state, and I am so grateful to you guys. I listen to you all the time, and you make my day, and thank you so much.
Thanks for listening, GD.
Oh, thank you, Gene.
We'll make this pledge to you. We'll stop pulling punches from here forward. Nothing but the true,
the cold hard facts as we see them. Absolutely.
Let's sneak Betsy in. You got 1 minute, sister. What do you got for us?
Hey, Betsy.
Hey, you guys. Yeah, great show as always. Well, did you know that they use ivermectin in Africa because, like, when you go swimming, those little worms they swim up your little hoo-hoo, and then that's what you need the ivermectin for the the real worms.
The deworming, the getting rid of the worms.
But they've also found that your sperm slows down with that stuff too. So, every sperm is sacred. So, anyway, thanks, guys. Love you. Bye.
That's another positive side effect.
Thank you, Betsy. Appreciate it.
Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, the 4 o'clock happy hour. It starts right now.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
They taste like burning.
Every sperm is sacred.
Freedom.
Chad's Design Build is proud to sponsor the Summer of Love on Devil Radio. We are committed to our community to demand better for each and every person. Doing the right thing isn't necessarily easy or inexpensive, but when we take the time to listen and learn, we can build a better community. Thoughtful remodeling is a lot like building an effective, progressive coalition. It takes patience, intelligence, and love. Experience helps too. Thank you, Joe Biden, and thank you, Devil Radio. On behalf of Chad's Design Build, here's to the Summer of Love.
Hey, crazy e-bike Lenny, why do you advertise on Devil Radio?
Greed. It gives me a great return on my advertising investment. Maybe the best of all the other radio stations. Customers come in, they're intimate. They say, I heard you on Devil's Advocate. And that means when you're as greedy as Crazy Lenny's e-bikes is, you buy more commercials and more come in and more commercials.
You'd be crazy not to advertise your goods or services on Devil Radio.
You are listening to WTTN Columbus, W224EG Madison, always streaming at DevilRadio927.com.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. A few days ago, he was in Louisiana, where Hurricane Ida reached shore. Today, the president is looking at damage from a weakened Ida in the Northeast. The AP's Sagar Magani has the story.
It's incredible. In the Lost Valley neighborhood of Manville, the president stopped in front of what used to be a home. Why don't you explain what happened? Megan Domar said her family left before the storm got really bad to protect their 4-month-old daughter, Lila. Her husband briefly returned a few hours later for Trinity, the cat.
Our plan was to come back once the water had gone down
and salvage things from the second-floor nursery. But before they could,
the house was on fire.
After Domar told her story, the president gave her a hug. Thank God you're safe.
Thank God,
That's the most important thing. Sagar Magani, Washington.
American veterans groups and others are pleading for U.S. and Taliban action on a week-long standoff that has left hundreds of would-be evacuees from Afghanistan desperate to board waiting charter flights out of an airport in northern Afghanistan. Michael Morrell, the CIA man who briefed President George W. Bush on September 11, 2001, says he's convinced the Taliban will invite al-Qaeda back to rebuild in Afghanistan. A new voting law was signed by Texas Governor Greg Abbott today. Democrats say it will make it tougher for minorities to vote. Abbott says it makes the election process more secure. At least 3 lawsuits have been filed.
The first thing the Democrats do is they run to the courthouse and try to challenge it. I feel extremely confident that when this law makes it through the litigation phase, it will be upheld.
Some changes squarely take aim at Harris County in Houston, where President Biden carried the county last November. Mexico's Supreme Court ruled it's unconstitutional to punish abortion. A Mexican state had made abortion a criminal act. Stocks finished mixed. The Dow down 269 points. This is AP News.
Start fall with everything to do business better during Dell Technologies Labor Day event. Save up to 45% on select business PCs with Windows 10 Pro. Power your workday with savings on Dell servers, monitors, docks, and other accessories, plus free shipping on everything. Do more with modern devices and Windows 10 Pro. Call 877-ASK-DELL for a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the right tech. That's 877-ASK-DELL for business specials during Dell's Labor Day event.
My stomach.
Don't worry, I've got you covered.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
What's that?
It's Pepto-Bismol chews.
Pepto-Bismols in a chew?
Yeah, they taste great and provide fast relief. And you can always have Pepto-Bismol handy.
Ooh, let me try it.
Try Pepto-Bismol chews for fast relief.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
This is Rocker. I'm sitting on the patio at Salvatore's Tomato Pies on East Wash, and I'm enjoying a floral-forward Manhattan called As Long as There's Whiskey. It features Rocker Rye whiskey with a hint of blueberry, a touch of smoky Amaro, and it's finished off with St. Germain. It's a Rocker Rye Manhattan at Sal's Tomato Pies on Livingston. Ask for it by name as long as there's whiskey. You can also enjoy Rocker Spirits at the Wisco and Tiny's Tap on Willie Street. You must be 21. Please drink responsibly.
So, Darcy Haber, I hear you have solar panels on your office building. Are all real estate brokers tree huggers?
Crew, you should know that at Solidarity Realty, we provide outstanding real estate service while adhering to our core progressive values. Environmental sustainability is a big part of that.
So you really walk your talk, huh?
Yep, I even walk to work.
Come on, always?
Well, sometimes I bike. And if I have an appointment across town, I use my hybrid.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, and they're honest. Find them online at solidarityrealty.com. There is an alternative.
Hey everyone, Jason Hafman here, the host of Let's Get Local, hoping you'll join us at the Dane Buy Local Car Show on Saturday, September 18th at McKee Farms Park in Fitchburg. From 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., swing on by to check out cool cars, kids activities, arts and crafts, food, live music, and we'll be broadcasting Let's Get Local live from 10 a.m. to noon at the car show. The Dane Buy Local Car Show, sponsored by Fitchburg Family Pharmacy on Saturday, September 18th. Head to danebuylocal.com for more details.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. Over the weekend, the federally expanded unemployment benefits passed last year to assist individuals that lost their jobs due to the COVID-19 pandemic expired. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, the loss of benefits could affect up to 33,000 Wisconsinites. As of July, the unemployment rate was 3.9% in Wisconsin, but employers are continuing to struggle attracting workers to fill thousands of open jobs across the state. On Friday, Wisconsin Superintendent of Public Instruction Jill Underly said in an interview with WKOW that she supports school districts mandating COVID-19 vaccines for teachers and staff, noting schools should do everything possible to keep schools open this fall. Forecasts of scattered thunderstorms with a possibility for gusting winds and small hail today and a high of 79 degrees. Clear skies in the forecast tonight with an overnight low of 57 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, we are sliding into the Labor Day Tuesday happy hour, 4 o'clock happy hour. And the phone lines, they're open for you, 844-967-2789. We got some breaking, troubling headlines right here in the great state of Wisconsin. But before we go there, let's go to Minneapolis and Bill. Bill, thanks for sticking around over the top of the hour. What do you got for us?
Hey, Bill.
Yeah, that's fine. You can hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Yeah, it took me a while to figure out your number. That's why I called in so late. But you know, this vaccine business and COVID is so complicated. That's why it makes it so mysterious. There's just so much going on with it. And like, for example, like on the left, which I think I'm part of, like they're all pro-vaccine, do the mask, CDC is right. And on the right, they're against all that. And then, so like on the left, we think we're all sane and we know what we're doing. And on the right, that they're all crazy. And
I'm following you so far, Bill. Go ahead, please continue.
I was gonna say I don't think I'm going out on a limb to say no, but I don't think they are all crazy. That's where I was going out on a limb. You know, I think there's a few of them that like, so I was at the anti-mandate rally in the Capitol a few weeks ago, and they were all crazy. And then there was like some that had the T-shirts that said "My body, my choice," which is really weird because these are the same people that are anti-choice. So I don't know how they can wrap their head around that, but I do kind of welcome their questioning though, because there were a lot of speakers there, and they do have issues, and I think there are some things that are worth bringing up. You know, like that Fauci has what do they call it, where you have two interests, like he's invested in the vaccines, and then he's supposed to be supervising. You know, he's kind of like too caught up in it.
Well, Bill, I'm not sure that I've heard of any financial conflicts from Fauci. I mean, the guy has served under 8 different presidential administrations. So if this guy's invested in COVID-19 vaccine, it's probably because he realized that there's always another pandemic on the horizon, and the vaccine would be the best possible treatment for the vaccine. For the COVID. But I've not seen any reporting that Tony Fauci is financially conflicted, sir. I've seen that with the case with Rand Paul's wife. I've seen that there are different people that have financial entanglements with, let's say supporting hydroxychloroquine, but none of the actual COVID-19, let's call them the FDA approved vaccinations. I haven't seen the Fauci invested in any of those, sir.
Right, and you might have a point there, which brings up another point. I don't know if I get to make another point or not.
Make it quick.
Okay, so there's opinions on both sides. And the right, Fox won't let anybody on the left say what they want, but I think we're guilty too on the right. I mean, on the left, and that there's people that know how they have all the charts and they have it all figured out. And how come they don't get to explain themselves on the left? They don't get to, it's like they're censored, that's kind of like part of the thing. They're censored out. But I mean, if these people are crazy, why not let them on your show and explain themselves? And then
we do, Bill. We take all callers all the time, and we get plenty of them that call up. Even some independents that are questioning. I'm thinking about what you and Oconomowoc. Is that Steve? I forget who it was.
Steve, yeah.
Yeah. So that isn't happening here, man. We encourage all those conversations, but certainly if someone comes up and is going to call us and purposefully state untruths, we're going to cut them off. And that's not censorship. Censorship comes from the government. Nobody's got a right to come up here and talk trash unless we want them to. And generally, we acquiesce to that. We want the conversation. I'm down for the crazies to show their stripes. I think that is a very important part of it, to expose them for what they are. Now, does that happen on the right? No, not nearly as much, to my understanding. I don't listen to or call into right-wing talk radio, but from those that I discuss and that call this show that say, well, they don't let us on those. So I think there might be some of that. But Bill, I would agree with you in this sense. I don't think they're all crazy. I think there's a few crazies. I think there's, crazy is crazy, man. The bell curve exists. There's some crazies on all sides. That aside, though, I'm talking about rational scientific thought. And if someone's going to stand up and say, hey, I did my own personal research on the internet, and here's what Google said on page 3, and this is what I believe, I'm less inclined to believe whatever their quote unquote fact is versus, paid professionals who do this for a living, Bill. So not all opinions are created equal. Everyone's got one, but they're not all the same. And I do not weight them all the same. And I think a big problem we have is, someone's out there giving an opinion and an unsophisticated listener is thinking that, oh, this is a news hit, this is fact. And there's a lot of confusion in that regard, I think, perhaps more so, at least these days, on the right. Thanks for the call, Bill.
PolitiFact rated the Facebook meme that was going around that Fauci was somehow financially vested in the outcome of the Pfizer vaccine.
The Facebook meme? Yeah.
We rate it as false.
Yeah.
So PolitiFact didn't find the veracity of,
It's weird. A meme wasn't totally truthful.
Apparently not.
Yeah,
not in this
come on.
circumstance.
I
This
mean, that's what I'm
rare
saying.
circumstance.
And this whole social media thing, and I love it because it does give us a chance to connect with folks and all the positive sides of it and ease of transfer of information, but it also gives people some false bravado to do some things and say some things that perhaps they would never ever do to your face. They would never act like that in public. And that's the bad side of the good of the connectivity and the community part of it, and the internet access to information as a whole. Well, again, a positive, but the downside of that generally is you can have people wormholing and only going to one or two particular sleeves for all their information and think that information is as valid as perhaps some other more researched information that's out there. So, we as a society have really got to get our stuff together and recognize when something's an opinion, when something's a fact. And generally speaking, memes, are they're memes. You take them for what they are. If you have a question about, the facts of a meme, dig into it, do some research. I mean, everything's out there, man. You can look at these studies on vaccines. I mean, the information is at your fingertips if you want to dig deeper than your buddy's Facebook meme.
Well, here's something I will hold Fauci accountable for. Dr. Fauci, March of 2020, when this pandemic was first really hitting with a vengeance, and they knew it was aerosolized breath. They knew effectively it was transmitting person to person. And Fauci discouraged the use of masks early on. And later, in retrospect, Fauci explained, we had a shortage of masks. We wanted an acceptable number of masks for our healthcare providers. But don't be contradictory. I think the CDC has left itself open to criticism on this whole pandemic because sometimes the advice it is given is contradicted a week later by the CDC. And it was always good advice to have people wear masks. Maybe not a run-on mask, just like, you don't want to run on toilet paper.
Well, but sure. And certainly there is going to have to be some waiting for those kinds of issues. But
that's not how he explained it in real time.
But in real time, as science evolves, as things evolve, and we as human beings become more aware and study and find things out, well, that things do change. I mean, nothing is going to be exactly as you perceive it to be, addressing a problem of this kind of magnitude and complexity. That evolves. I mean, our understanding of the virus evolves, and our way to fight it, that also evolves. Now, was that a political, I'm not going to say political, was that a practical solution to not, we just saw the run on toilet paper. We'd have a run on masks and all the hospital workers get sick and die. Well, good luck then treating people.
But then he opens himself to criticism if he's not giving us the truth and the whole truth.
Look,
I mean,
no one's infallible in these issues, but I can understand the position. But at the end of the day, Bangladesh had the 300,000 study. We talked about it last week. There's data out there now. Masks work. Can we just get over all of that? Just accept it. The vaccines, they work. They're safe. Masks, they work. They're safe. They don't cause Legionnaire's disease. I mean, some of these things are just straight up BS.
Well, you're talking just because Joe Sanfilippo, the Republican chairman of the health committee in the assembly in Wisconsin, came on this fine program and said, mask will give you a Legionnaire's disease.
Yeah, I mean, some people might look at that as an authority on it if you don't realize he's just another politician, happened to be on that committee. It's like Janelle Brandon thinks she knows something about elections because she's on the election committee.
Well, my only issue is the inconsistency of the CDC and the initial messaging by Dr. Fauci opened up Pandora's box and left just a little crevice for the misinformation to spread. And that's my only regret for Fauci. Not that he's heavily invested in the Pfizer virus vaccines. I don't think he got rich. No, I don't have any concerns. Now, some Trump supportive guy, I'm sure plenty of them were, buying stock.
Sure, but
I mean, Rand Paul's wife buying stock in Remdesivir or whatever.
If I'm a
the case
virus
may be.
expert, I mean, it would make sense to have some, stock in perhaps some industries that address it, because obviously he's a believer in it. I mean, this is what he does. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like being a ball player and invested in some clothing. Yeah, I'm down. I mean, some things make some sense, but to say that the man is compromised because of it, I've also not seen any reporting beyond a meme that would suggest that.
Well, Dominic, I've got all my stock invested in truth-based radio. You're listening to it right now. It's called Devil Radio. We're the Devil's Advocates. We tell the truth whenever we can. 63% or more. We're always trying. Come back, more Devils.
Tell the truth when I can.
You're presuming that all the information you have there is completely factual.
Man, I've got certain information, all right? Certain things have come to light.
Yes, science. Well, I don't think science knows, actually.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
An extremely generous Devil Radio listener has pledged to match every donation to Devil Radio now until September 27th. 927 Devil Radio Day. Every dollar donated will be matched up to $10,000. That's huge for us. Devil Radio will only survive and thrive with your help. Please consider giving now if you're able and double the impact. Go to devilradio927.com and find the Support Devil Radio tab to give today. Thank you.
You feeling stressed or anxious, trying to figure out this new world? Maybe just feeling sore after all that summer yard work? You should come try Knuckleheads. With a new location at 520 State Street, Knuckleheads has the best CBD and wellness products Madison has to offer. Come talk to a friendly neighborhood Knucklehead today and see if CBD works for you. You can call the shop at 608-284-0151 or check out the website, knuckleheadcbd.com, with any questions. And I'm Lando Commando, and I'll see you there at our new location, 520 State Street. Yeah!
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids, thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Greetings, everyone. This is Nate Tim inviting you to my show, Lay of the Land, about life and politics in rural Wisconsin. Join me every Thursday at 7 p.m. on Devil Radio. This week, my special guest is John Peck. See you then.
Taking on Ready Whitey Talk Radio on both sides of the dial, from Cross Plains to Cottage Grove. Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
The Devil's Advocates, because it's always 420 somewhere.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Your calls always welcome here at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we've got a troubling headline out of the great state of Wisconsin. A U.S. senatorial candidate could be subject to felonious charges. A Milwaukee alder, Shantia Lewis, who is running for the U.S. Senate, accused of embezzling funds for trips and Bible classes. Daniel Bice reporting, and others. Milwaukee alder Shantia Lewis, who's running for the U.S. Senate, was charged Tuesday with 5 criminal counts that accuse her of taking more than $20,000 in campaign funds and false travel reimbursements from the city. Lewis is accused of taking money from her campaign account and using it to attend a Florida worship conference, pay tuition for classes at Agape Love Bible College, and to go on a family trip to Wisconsin Dells. She also allegedly used campaign funds for basic expenses such as car and credit card payments, vehicle repairs, and rent on a Milwaukee apartment, according to the criminal complaint. On top of that, the complaint accuses Lewis of making more than 20 inappropriate cash withdrawals from ATMs, totaling $5,590 from 2016 to 2020. In all, the 43-page complaint filed by the Milwaukee County prosecutors states that Lewis defrauded the city of Milwaukee and her campaign collectively of at least $21,666.70. Lewis, the vice chair of the Public Safety and Health Committee, made a base salary of about $73,000 a year as the Common Council member, Dom. She, through attorney, is saying that she's innocent of these charges, and the defense believes the issues are better categorized as accounting errors.
Accounting errors.
Yes.
The criminal complaint states that she filed campaign finance reports in which she provided inaccurate information about her account balances, contributions, and disbursements. She misappropriated funds belonging to her campaign by depositing campaign contributions into her personal bank accounts, as well as using campaign funds to pay for personal expenses. Lewis further falsely represented to the city of Milwaukee that she was owed reimbursement for expenses incurred on city travel, when in fact she paid for those expenses out of her campaign account. I believe they call that double dipping. The complaint also accuses Lewis of structuring a campaign contribution to avoid the contribution limit requirements and misappropriating campaign funds by using them for personal expenses. The charges against Lewis, 41, are misconduct in public office, embezzlement of more than $10,000, theft by fraud of less than $2,500, intentionally filing a false campaign finance report, and intentionally accepting an unlawful campaign finance disbursement.
Dominic, I would wonder, how could they possibly charge this singular candidate? And maybe she's a little more brazen in the expenditure she used it on, a family trip to the Dells, probably a tell. But how is she more brazen in her corruptness than Scott Walker was? Or Rebecca Clayfish in her 1848 5014C project? They're illegally campaigning in real time. In the case of Rebecca Clayfish, I mean, Scott Walker was a presidential campaign in waiting from the time he won re-election as the governor of the state of Wisconsin in the fall of 2014. And they've all started using these 501c4s, or in the case of Scott Walker,
I get it, but I don't want to. But listen, that's you're taking 20 cash withdrawals out of your campaign account, put cash in your pocket. I mean, that's not an accident. I mean, as much as, and I hope for her sake that this can all be categorized as such. But, trips to Vegas, trip to the Dells, paying rent with campaign funds. I mean, that's not a category. It's not because of an unsophisticated person. I mean, that's very, in my opinion, based on the reading that I have here, there's other articles in Urban Milwaukee as well. That's very specific. I mean, if you go to an ATM, you got to use you got to pull out a card, right? You know what card you're using. You know what PIN number you use. You know what count it's coming out of. So while I don't want to diminish your point on Clayfish or Walker and how some of these candidates are using, workarounds. I mean, taking cash out, put it in your pocket, then lying about it in your campaign filings is pretty specific and pretty brazen.
Well, Scott Walker was breaking the campaign finance laws that existed in the state of Wisconsin when he was illegally coordinating with third-party groups. He was basically using the third-party groups to corruptly accept campaign finance well in excess of the campaign finance limits, which at the time was $10,000. A direct contribution donation to a candidate. He was accepting multi-million-dollar donations to his 527. And when you got a couple $1 million in the bank, I mean, let's not forget in his 71-day presidential campaign, he was burning through 90 grand a day. And he didn't have any rent to pay because he was running his presidential campaign out of the governor's mansion on the people's dime. So I get the fact that she might have been more brazen in that she got charged, but Scott Walker was the target of the John Doe investigations. John Doe was Scott Walker. Scott Walker was target number one. Scott Walker was guilty as what of breaking campaign finance laws all across the state. And Rebecca Clayfish is following in his example. They're breaking campaign finance laws in the real sense. They might not be self-enriching, but who needs to when you can anonymously raise millions of dollars? I mean, Scott Walker, why did Scott Walker go to Israel as the governor of the state of Wisconsin? And who paid for that? Our American Revolution, Scott Walker's 527 raised money to pay for his trips overseas as the governor of the state of Wisconsin. No official stuff he actually did. It was a listening session. It's just burnishing his presidential resume. And let's not forget, Scott Walker, when he was the governor of the state of Wisconsin running for president, even though he didn't declare himself a candidate, he was working 15 minutes a day. One staff phone call of 15 minutes a day. And otherwise, the guy was running for president for over a year on the taxpayer's dollar. But I can understand why this alder in the city of Milwaukee, why she's the one charged with felonies. Come back, more devils.
No, I'm an Eagle Scout.
To conceal the source of money as by channeling it through an intermediary.
Hope you don't mind if I pay you in cash. I don't like Big Brother getting into my business, you dig?
Clark, that's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
In time, you will know the true power of Devil Radio 92.7. It is your destiny.
I offer this guarantee to those that advertise with Devil Radio. You will not lose money. You will get return on your investment. I'm Mike Crude. I own Devil Radio. I know it's scary to spend money, but you must invest now in telling customers, old and new, that you're open for business. Devil Radio listeners are hugely supportive of our sponsors. Our creative team will help you craft your message until it works. We will keep running your ads until you tell me you're making money. Call Devil Radio today. We will succeed together. You will make money. I guarantee it. Hey, Dom, how many palindromes can you name in 30 seconds?
Race car, mom, dad, reefer, kayak, level. Did I say mom already?
You're forgetting one really important one.
Zero res.
Not only is it the coolest palindrome ever, it's also our favorite.
Right, I remember. Why is that again?
They advertise with us.
Zero res, my favorite palindrome.
And carpet cleaner.
Carpet cleaner.
Get the best carpet cleaning ever. Schedule your carpet cleaning online at zeroresmadison.com. Tell them the Devil's Advocate sent.
Biden tour. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. President Biden on a tour of New Jersey today heard from Megan and Caesar Domar, who tried to get back into their heavily damaged home to collect baby things from their daughter's nursery.
Our plan was to go in and save her belongings, but unfortunately, probably around 2:30, 3 o'clock Thursday, the house is on fire.
The state of Louisiana revokes the licenses for 7 nursing homes after the deaths of 7 residents following their evacuation to a warehouse with unhealthy conditions. Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott signs an election overhaul law that allows for more restrictions on casting a ballot. Despite that, Abbott is confident the measure will make it through the courts.
I feel extremely confident that when this law makes it through the litigation phase, it will be upheld.
At least 3 federal lawsuits have been filed claiming the law will have a disproportionate impact on minorities. I'm Tim McGuire.
Start fall with everything to do business better during Dell Technologies Labor Day event. Save up to 45% on select business PCs with Windows 10 Pro. Power your workday with savings on Dell servers, monitors, docks, and other accessories, plus free shipping on everything. Do more with modern devices and Windows 10 Pro. Call 877-ASK-DELL for a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the right tech. That's 877-ASK-DELL for business specials during Dell's Labor Day event.
My stomach.
Don't worry, I've got you covered.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
What's that?
It's Pepto-Bismol chews.
Pepto-Bismol's in a chew?
Yeah, they taste great and provide fast relief. And you can always have Pepto-Bismol handy.
Ooh, let me try it.
Try Pepto-Bismol chews for fast relief.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
For Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. After a dry and hot summer, Wisconsin's cranberry crop is now expected to be about average size and possibly even above average, according to experts. Back in August, the cranberry forecast estimated the state would produce about 4.92 million barrels of cranberries this year. But now the Wisconsin Cranberry Growers Association estimates the crop yield will be closer to the state's average of around 5.5 million barrels of cranberries for 2021. According to findings from a new report by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, Wisconsinites need to compost more food waste and recycle paper and plastic materials better. The department studied landfills around the state over the last year and found Wisconsin municipal waste was 30% food scraps, 21% paper materials, and more than 17% plastic waste. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
The Devil's Advocates, where there's always time for Scott Walker bashing. Hashtag Walker bashing.
Having a great time. Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. A troubling headline out of Milwaukee. Milwaukee Alder Shantia Lewis, who's running for the U.S. Senate as a Democratic candidate, accused of embezzling funds for trips and Bible classes And I'd like to remind you, Dom, Scott Walker. New flight records are my source, One Wisconsin Now. New flight records released late Friday by Scott Walker to One Wisconsin Now reveal Walker again broke the law with his use of the state airplane. On September 21st, Walker flew from Madison to Milwaukee and then on to Wausau, billed the taxpayers $2,700, and attended events in both cities based on video and media reports of his comments at the event. Walker was clearly promoting his own campaign and by name criticizing his election opponent. Scott Walker has broken the law again with his use of the state plane. According to our pal Scott Ross, public officials absolutely cannot use state resources to benefit their campaigns. Yet the record showed that on September 21st, Scott Walker both flew at taxpayer expense to Milwaukee and Wausau and was campaigning at both stops. Let's not forget, he also took a plane to Rhinelander to shoot a campaign video. Taxpayer expense, never reimbursed the state, Dom. Scott Walker, in fact, is accused of using the state airplane for his presidential campaign to the tune of something approaching $1 million. So I would look at the corruption of the prior governor of the state of Wisconsin and even the one that wants to be the next governor.
Sure. Listen, Crudy, that's fine. And I concur with you. And I love Scott Ross and her opinions on that. And that's fine. But that doesn't take away from the current situation. You're pointing out somebody else's corruption.
That was not charged.
It does not take away from this other person's alleged corruption.
I'm not trying to diminish the alleged corruption of the Milwaukee Alder. What I am saying is we've got a double standard going on in the state of Wisconsin because we got the former governor breaking campaign finance laws with impunity. See, not one, but two John Does talking to you, Chisholm. Yet they're still going to find the evidence to prosecute a $21,000, no doubt. Sounds like criminal activity, using the campaign finance account like a slush fund. Just like Scott Walker did it, just like Rebecca Clayfish is doing it through the 1848 PAC 501c4 that she only withdrew from on Friday because she plans on announcing her gubernatorial campaign on the 9th. That'll come up a little bit later this week, Don.
Apparently, Miss Lewis didn't do it right.
No, she didn't do it right. Lots of ways to cheat and not get charged criminally and illegally use outsized campaign finance donations, travel wherever you want on the taxpayer dollar. But the black lobby or alderwoman in Milwaukee gets charged. They found the evidence on her. Go read The Guardian, man. There are 14,000 emails because Scott Walker asked. I mean, the campaign finance caps were 10 grand. The guy was taking $1 million checks from lead-based paint corporations to change the law and shield them from liability. That seems a little more corrupt than going to the Dells on your campaign account. I'm just saying.
Corrupt is corrupt. I agree with you. Yes, on Scott Walker. Absolutely. Period.
So we can expect charges coming soon against a gubernatorial candidate in waiting, Rebecca Clayfish, for her illegal campaigning for the last year plus. You think those charges will come down someday next week?
If Rebecca Clayfish was a sitting alder person and was going to her campaign bank account and pulling out ATM dollars and putting them in her pocket, I think she would also be charged for that.
She's not subject to any disclosure of any of her finances through her 501(c). And in fact, we won't see any disclosure.
But listen, you're already
after the election.
You're already, just by your response to me, showing and defining that this is a different circumstance. You have a sitting alder person versus a private citizen, right? Those are you have two different circumstances. But again,
private citizen candidate for governor.
She's not a private citizen. She's absolutely a private. She's a private citizen, Crudy.
She's running for office.
Even when she runs for office,
money.
When she makes the official announcement, she will still be a private citizen. Although she certainly won't have, although she certainly will be in the public, but she does not work for the city of Milwaukee. If Rebecca Clayfish did what Shantia Lewis is accused of doing, I would fully expect her to also, in the same circumstance, being a Milwaukee alder, pulling money out and double billing for travel expenses, those kinds of things.
I mean, like Scott Walker did with the state plane.
Sure, like Scott Walker did with the same plane, the state plane.
Running his campaign, utilizing public resources to run his campaign effectively. Because that was against the law when Scott Walker was doing it.
Didn't they change the law?
Well, they got rid of the Government Accountability Board because they investigated, and they got rid of the John Doe law because they investigated Scott Walker. Yeah, they changed a few laws. They changed campaign finance caps as well. So Scott Walker could take 20 grand a crack, but that still pales by the comparison of the millions of dollars he raised through a 527 in an illegal fashion. And despite the fact there have been FEC complaints against the guy because he was doing so in a criminal fashion, well, he's never been held accountable. Never held accountable for his illegal campaigning while Milwaukee County executive. Never held accountable for having a freaking private router in his office. Never held accountable for designated someone to watch the charity's money. One of his campaign workers that absconded with charitable funds. You remember Russell, the guy that set up the secret router in Scott Walker's county executive office, the guy that Scott Walker put in charge of the charitable funds, the guy that used the money to buy the scottwalker.com website, that guy. But no, I'm sure Scott Walker was above reproach in all of this.
Pretty sure that guy was charged and convicted. Yes.
And why wasn't Scott Walker charged and or convicted?
I don't have an answer for you.
I don't either. Lack of political courage on behalf of the district attorney in Milwaukee County.
Political courage. Is it, crimes were committed or they were not?
What about the
political?
Yes,
political
crimes
politics
were committed.
Be damned.
Well, they hear it told in the annuals of the Dan Bice columns. Chisholm's wife's tears were the reason behind the Act 10 or the investigation of Scott Walker, the John Doe. They were inspired by his public teacher's wife's tears, right? That's the way they were telling this story. But the fact that Chisholm never charged Scott Walker just shows me how backward that whole story was. I mean, look at the Big Blue story. Look at him giving off campaign returns through corporate leases on Big Blue. That's the building we used to broadcast out of. Scott Walker should have been charged for corruption in regards to the lease on Big Blue.
The real estate broker was charged and not convicted, if I recall.
No, I'm not clear that all those charges were not charged. So how Scott Walker escaped without criminal penalty, and no doubt, I mean, this is a troubling headline for Miss Lewis, and hopefully she has a strong legal defense, and maybe these are accounting errors. But I would say the other guy did it with malfeasance and prior forethought and premeditation.
With much bigger dollars.
With much bigger dollars. And did so in a purposeful attempt to hide his criminality from the people of Wisconsin, from the FEC, from the Wisconsin Elections Commission, from the GAB. I mean, Scott Walker was covering up his crimes at every single level. And now, just 4 short years later, we see Rebecca Clayfish following the very same example. She's breaking campaign finance laws. As of Friday, she might have cleaned up her act. But up until now, for the last year or more, she's been breaking the law. And I don't have any personal axe to grind against the Clayfishes. I like Joel. Hell, I like Rebecca. But that doesn't mean that she's not breaking campaign finance laws. And I find it very troubling when we see selective prosecutions and the rest of them, they get off scot-free. Because the corruption is magnified tenfold.
Oh, 10, 100, 1,000, a million-fold.
So they just have better lawyers. They just effectively raise bigger donations anonymously, illegally, and hire better lawyers to clean up the messes.
It's the structure of corruption is different. That's the point. 844-967-2789. Mark from the SAC, you're up. Welcome. What do you got for us today, Mark?
Yeah, you're kind of hitting a lot of nails that I'd like to hit too. That Scott Walker, why Tom Barrett didn't go after Scott Walker's initial, what they caught him at doing in his county office, and with that garage collapse is beyond me. That I would have gone after Scott Walker's throat on that one, and Tom Barrett might have won that first election in 2010. But on the public corruption, I mean, you should know which pocket you're paying this. You should know it's not an accounting problem. It's because that she kind of skirted the rules, and should pay, and her problem is that she didn't do it big enough and doesn't have enough connections to hold off the legal problems that she has. Look at Donald Trump's campaign. We still do not know what happened to the money that got spent on the big campaign party that he had when he first got elected. I mean,
the inaugural committee. Yeah, what's the status? Where are we at on that, Mark?
Yeah, the status on that, and now we have the guy out in California now saying that we should have paid the slave owners reparations for the property that they lost, like the British did. But that was the British did not have to deal with a civil war to free the slaves. I mean, it just it's insane. I mean, if you're on the right, you can get away with this stuff for some reason. Here in Wisconsin, legally, the corrupt Supreme Court let Scott Walker get away with the crime. Say, oh, that's unconstitutional. Have that, even though there've been people prosecuted and jailed for that and served their time for doing that, for that kind of political corruption in the past. And they say, well, we'll let Scott Walker skate. And then the Republican legislature changes the law, which Scott Walker was able to sign to make what he was doing not a crime anymore.
I know it's a slick get out of jail free card if you got one. And speaking of the corrupted Wisconsin Supreme Court, let's not forget the very same cast of characters that gave Walker millions, gave these Supreme Court justices millions towards their campaign. Talking about Prosser and Gableman. I believe Ziegler was a grand recipient. Rogensack, they all did. But they didn't recuse themselves from the John Doe, right?
Well,
they
talked amongst themselves and decided they don't have to recuse themselves.
Well, I believe Prosser's logic is it'd been more than a year since he had received millions of dollars.
Possibly be influenced by millions of dollars a year later
from Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce and others that helped, illegally pad Scott Walker's campaign finance reports. Oh yeah, except he didn't report them. He just buried them with the 527. Miss Lewis, you've got to be much smarter. You should be robbing your account massively. The 90,000 a day. I mean, how the hell do you spend 90 grand a day on a campaign in Iowa? Scott Walker was burning 90 grand a day in Iowa, dude. You didn't get a hotel room for $100 in Iowa. How many people were you putting up in the hotel?
Come on, man. Scott Walker
that's an MC Hammer size.
Everybody coming out of the woodwork. Everyone coming out of the woodwork to try to get some of that 90 grand a day. I mean, you don't go into a diner in Iowa and set up a stage and speakers and audio visual and have a big production. And that's what they were doing. And that's why he was running around spending money like MC Hammer on his first concert tour. And he burned it all because not only was it corrupt, but he was also a mark. You see a guy like that coming a mile away.
It was about September of 2015 when Scott Walker got out of the race. I believe he was polling 0.0 in Iowa. Spending 90 grand a day to convince no one you were the right candidate. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. We're trying to convince you are listening to the right radio show this afternoon and each and every weekday, 3 hours a day. That's all we ask from you. Keep it locked. More Devil's Advocates. Join us on the phone. Still time for your calls. 844-967-2789. We'll be right back.
We have to bring back law and order.
And they literally and figuratively get hooked. And once they get hooked, there's no going back.
I love being governor.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
An extremely generous Devil Radio listener has pledged to match every donation to Devil Radio now until September 27th, 927 Devil Radio Day. Every dollar donated will be matched up to $10,000. That's huge for us. Devil Radio will only survive and thrive with your help. Please consider giving now if you're able and double the impact. Go to devilradio927.com and find the Support Devil Radio tab to give today. Thank you.
Hey, how's it going? Come down to 550 State Street. At Knuckleheads, we're your one-stop shop for all your CBD, glass, hookah, cigar needs. We got deals like buy 4, get 1 free on papers, cones, CBD carts. Too many things to list. Call 608-284-0151. Ask a friendly neighborhood knucklehead any questions. Or check out the website, knuckleheadcbd.com. Knuckleheads at 550 State Street. We got you covered. I'm Lando Commando, and I'll see you there.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Hey, it's Pizza Box Mike. I've got a show outside the Pizza Box. Be sure to listen on Saturdays at noon on Devil Radio. There is a reason why they won't let me on Facebook anymore.
Devil Radio, your fix for progressive talk from Middleton to Monona, always streaming at DARNWI.com.
The Devil's Advocates, because freedom.
I can take on 100,000 protesters. I can do the same across the world.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day. If you got something to say, pick up the phone, hit us up right now. Toll free talk or text, except you, George, 844-967-2789.
Some of the personal expenditures on Shantita Lewis's, finance disclosure, like $250.
844-967-2789. No, certainly does not seem to be as egregious as the former Walker administration. Wisco Paul, you are up. Welcome, sir. What do you got for us?
Hey, Paul.
Hey, good afternoon, Devils. First of all, I'd like to send a thank you to all the nurses in the Milwaukee, I can't say Milwaukee. I'll stick to the Madison area that are working hard with the COVID every day. You guys are real special people, and thanks for all your hard work. Maybe we'll turn the corner on this eventually. As far as, it's a sad deal. Anyway, that's all I can do is, you nurses are great. Hey, as far as Rebecca Clayfish goes, you guys had to invoke Scott Hole, Scott Walker, Winker, whatever you want to call them. It's all good names, but Rebecca would just be just like Scott. It'd just be more of the same. The U-Lines will be involved. Diane Hendricks, I think it's called the Brantley Foundation, and more than likely she's going to bring all Walker's corrupt people back. And for me, I don't know if I could handle 4 years no roads. And it's just there's got to be better people to run for government than the people that are running out there right now. I don't hate Rebecca Clayfish, but the thought of Walker being back in charge, it just chills me to the bone. I won't be able to drive no more. I'll look for a different job, Crudy. All right, thanks for listening to me. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for listening to us. We appreciate it.
Paul, there's a news story. Melanie Conklin at the Wisconsin Examiner. Clayfish borrows tampon tax idea from Democrat. I'm going to read briefly from this. Last week, former Republican Lieutenant Governor Rebecca Clayfish put out an agenda for nonprofit, for her campaign. Her nonprofit 1848 project that read like a campaign platform, almost like she's illegally using the 501c4 to roll out her campaign. But anyways, I read on. The same day it was released, WisPolitics discovered that she had quietly filed paperwork a week earlier to run in the 2022 against Governor Tony Evers. One plank of that platform appears to have been taken from one of the most progressive Wisconsin Democratic legislators, Senator Melissa Agard. In 2015, Agard first introduced a bill that would eliminate the sales tax on personal hygiene menstrual products such as tampons and pads, as well as diapers and adult incontinence products. She has continued to introduce it, including the most recent bill put forth in March. Her statement released March 2nd read, menstrual products and diapers are necessities, not luxuries. These products are essential in our everyday lives and should absolutely be exempted from state sales tax. It makes no sense that Viagra Potato chips and Kit Kats are not taxed in Wisconsin, but tampons and diapers are. Ultimately, this is about equality in our tax code and respect. Pushing to eliminate the tampon tax is something Agard has become known for championing. Clayfish, who was in office when Agard introduced her bill the first time, put this into her platform. Here is the Rebecca Clayfish version. One particularly obnoxious tax should also win, the pink tax on feminine products. We don't tax necessities like food and medical supplies. We should not have a sales tax on other hygiene necessities. The first state in the nation to pass the 19th Amendment guaranteeing equality in voting should not be the last state in the nation to extend basic tax fairness to all necessary purchases. Agard says good policy should be passed, not plagiarized. When Agard first introduced the bill, Clayfish was serving with then Gubernator Scotty Wanker, and Republicans controlled all branches of the government. For 8 years, Rebecca Clayfish and her Republican colleagues have had full control of state government. For 8 years, they have had the ability to pass legislation to eliminate the unfair tax on menstrual products in Wisconsin, Agard said. Including this policy in her campaign platform is politics at its worst. Empty rhetoric with no action to back it up. Not that she asked or credited, but Agar has a few other ideas to add to Clayfish's agenda. If Rebecca Clayfish truly wants to support women, she should also get behind policies that would create equal play in the workplace, protect access to reproductive health care.
Oh, don't get too crazy on me now.
And advocate for survivors of sexual assault. Rebecca Clayfish. I'm not saying she's stealing money down, but she's stealing good ideas.
Well,
wasn't Mary Burke once accused of plagiarize?
Political figure to grab some hold of some other idea and also support it.
But didn't the very word plagiarism basically kill Mary Burke's campaign in 2014? Mary Burke, how do you define plagiarism? That was the last time she was ahead in the polls. So is this an accurate accusation against Rebecca Clayfish?
Is it plagiarism? No, come on. Nor was it when Burke did it. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. She's getting behind an effort that Melissa got behind.
So she's just appropriating.
Sure. I mean, if I'm for legal weed and you're for legal weed and someone else is for legal weed, then now all of a sudden a politician comes out and they decide that they're for legal weed. Is that mine? Is it yours? Or is it just a concept that all of a sudden they're, for some reason, some rationale in their head to get behind?
Rebecca Clayfish, if you will appropriate legalizing marijuana and get it done, you could earn the votes of those panelists here that are speaking right now. What if she appropriated legalized weed, Dom, and said, I'll make it so? Tony doesn't have the power, but I got the legislative control. I'll make it so, Dom. Will you vote for me then?
No, because it's still got to get through Robin Voss and it's still got to get through the state Senate. If those guys pass it and Tony signs it, I'm down with that.
No. New Governor Clayfish would sign that into law. But first, you got to make a change, Dom.
Do you believe that for a second?
I
do not.
That Republicans would appropriate a good Democratic idea if it seemed politically expedient to do so.
No,
yeah,
no,
I think
no. I'm not talking generalities. I'm being very specific. Do you think that Rebecca Clayfish, not just Republicans, would appropriate a good idea, not just good ideas, but specifically legalize recreational marijuana in the state of Wisconsin?
I don't think she'd have the guts to do it, but Scott Walker would tell you the whole reason he lost re-election in the state of Wisconsin, referendums on the topic of marijuana.
Yes, that was a great strategic move, and we should do it again.
What if Rebecca Clayfish says, I'm the candidate that's going to end the tampon tax, and I'm going to tax legalized recreational marijuana if only Dominic will vote for me? Sure, and your vote then?
Nope.
Well, who's jaded now?
What do you mean, man? Just because someone says something doesn't mean I'm going to believe it. I'm not a cult Republican.
Thank you to our fine guest, Kirk Bangstad from the Minocqua Brewing Company. Don't forget, they got the new beer, Filibuster Ale. Tastes like hazelnuts. Have a good night, everyone. Stick around. Earl Ingram's next.
Tell Hazel I said hi.
We have good roads in this state.
Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads.
Can we marry dogs?
No, sir. I didn't like it.
You're gonna love my nut.
Hey, man, you still driving to Beloit for gummies and carts? Yeah, man, it's a real drag. Well, stop wasting gas, man, and ride your bike